A single mother finds a lost golden retriever on a dark, rainy night and returns him to his owner. But this isn't just any owner, he's one of the most private and powerful men in town. Out of gratitude, he offers her a life-changing reward she never saw coming. For a moment, it feels like her luck has finally turned, until one innocent whisper from a child sends the entire town into a storm of rumors, suspicion, and betrayal. Whispers that could destroy reputations, shut down a dream that could help hundreds, and tear apart the fragile hope she's just found. What really happened between this mysterious man and the boy's mother? And will the truth set them free or shatter everything? Before we get into the story, comment below where in the world you are watching from today. The rain pounded like tiny drums on the roof of Ruby Ellis's old sedan. She squinted through the windshield as the wipers struggled against the blurring downpour. It was late, and she had just finished her shift at the motel laundry. The scent of fresh linen mingling with fabric softener lingered on her hands, offering a small comfort amid her exhaustion. Ruby sighed wearily while turning onto the slick road back to Willow Run. The familiar curves felt different, shrouded in rain and shadows. Her thoughts drifted to Maya, her daughter, tucked in bed and dreaming of adventures. Ruby ached to wrap her arms around Maya and feel her warmth. Suddenly, something flickered in the headlights. Heart racing, Ruby slammed on the brakes, tires screeching, the car jolting to a stop. In front of her stood a drenched golden retriever, shaking and scared. His big brown eyes tugged at Ruby's heart. She couldn't drive away not with him looking so lost. "Hey there, buddy," Ruby called softly as she stepped into the downpour, the cold rain biting at her skin. Kneeling, she coaxed, "Come here," holding out her hand, gently. The retriever hesitated, then inched closer, sniffing at the air between them. Remembering the leftover chicken biscuit from lunch, Ruby reached back into the car. "Here you go," she said softly, pulling out the biscuit wrapped in a paper towel. "It's not fancy, but it's good." His tail began to wag as he cautiously took the treat before gobbling it down. "There you go," Ruby smiled, hair dripping with rain. "Let's get you out of this storm." Steadying him gently by the collar, she guided him toward her car's open door. He jumped in eagerly, shaking off water, and Ruby chuckled as she closed the door and hopped into the driver's seat. The warmth inside felt like a sanctuary compared to the rain outside. She glanced at him in the rearview mirror. He curled up, still damp but relieved. "All right," she said, reviving her energy as she turned the engine and drove cautiously down the road. "Let's see if we can find your owner." Ruby felt grateful for this unexpected companion. It lifted her spirits as they ventured further into town together. Willow Run wasn't far away, and she was optimistic about finding someone searching for him. Turning onto Maple Street, flickering streetlights illuminated darkened storefronts, a mixture of diners and quaint shops where community members gathered after long days. As they passed St. Luke's Fellowship Hall, Ruby noticed Buddy sitting upright, panting lightly, his excitement palpable. "You're quite curious, aren't you?" Ruby murmured, continuing toward Homia's cozy apartment above Maple Street near these lovely places. Finally arriving at their building, they hurried upstairs to escape the cold rain. As Ruby unlocked the door, balancing keys amidst her wet clothes, she met Buddy's gentle gaze, reminding her how special moments could blossom even amidst daily struggles. "Maya!" Ruby called cheerfully upon stepping inside, warmth enveloping them as they hugged tightly. The kitchen was brightly illuminated, shelves overflowing with books and stuffed animals, promising endless adventures. "Mama?" Maya appeared in snug pajamas, adorned with colorful butterflies, her wide smile filling the room with joy. "Maya, look who I found!" Ruby exclaimed, beckoning Buddy, who wagged his tail eagerly. Maya's eyes widened at the sight of the golden retriever, her face lighting up with disbelief and joy. "Can we keep him?" she asked excitedly, kneeling closer. "Of course," Ruby assured, looking down at Buddy, who licked her face sweetly, easing any fears. "We'll keep him safe until we find his owner." Together, they embraced the warmth of this unexpected family moment, love and kindness illuminated among them, promising adventures ahead and a life enriched with shared stories and cherished connections. Ruby woke to the gentle rain tapping against the window, early light casting a soft glow across her small bedroom. As she stretched and rubbed her eyes, she noticed warmth at the foot of her bed. Glancing down, she smiled at Buddy, the golden retriever they had rescued. Curled up and slightly damp from towel drying, his floppy ears twitched as he slept. Ruby felt a wave of peace wash over her. It had been a while since they had a pet. Quietly, she slipped out of bed so as not to wake him or Maya. Tiptoeing to the kitchen, she began making oatmeal for breakfast, hoping the comforting scent might ease her nerves about the day ahead. The aroma of cinnamon filled the air as she stirred in a generous sprinkle. Just then, soft footsteps padded down the hallway. "Good morning," Maya's cheerful voice rang out, her pajamas and tousled hair on full display. "Morning, sunshine," Ruby replied, keeping her tone light even as her mind wandered to the day's tasks. Maya spotted Buddy on the floor and squealed, "Look, he's still here. Can we keep him forever?" "I don't know about forever," Ruby replied gently, sharing her daughter's excitement while trying to be practical. "But we'll take care of him until we find his owner." Maya rushed over to Buddy, scratching behind his ears. He stirred awake, stretching before looking at her with sleepy eyes. "Hey there," Maya said softly. "You're so cute." Ruby watched them, warmth swelling in her chest. Moments like this reminded her of the love that filled their chaotic lives. After breakfast, where Maya devoured her meal while Ruby sipped coffee, Ruby decided it was time to inspect Buddy's collar tag. "Can you help me read this?" she asked Maya, picking up the collar from the table. The tag was scratched, but still had some information. "Sure," Maya beamed, leaning closer. Ruby turned the tag over, spotting a partially obscured address. 1234 Oak, followed by some unreadable characters and ending with Willow Run. "Looks like we have part of an address," Ruby said, feeling a mix of hope and nervousness. "If we drop you off at school today, I can check it afterward." Maya bounced with excitement. "Can we bring Buddy? He can help." "We can't take him inside your school," Ruby explained gently. "He needs some space after all that travel yesterday." Maya pouted slightly but nodded in understanding, knowing rules didn't always make sense. After a hurried morning of brushing teeth and putting on shoes, they stepped outside with Buddy trailing behind, eager to join them. Once inside Ruby's sedano with dog hair and mud from their adventures, the ride felt lighter despite yesterday's worries about finding Buddy's owner. "I can't wait for show, and till next week," Maya chattered as they drove through streets lined with fall decorations. Ruby smiled at her daughter's enthusiasm while keeping her eyes on the road. As they approached Willow Run Elementary School, nestled among vibrant trees, children played outside, eager for the morning bell. "I love school," Maya exclaimed as they pulled into a parking spot. Ruby parked quickly, unbuckling before glancing back at Buddy, who waited patiently. Stepping outside into the crisp air, Ruby felt the magic of the moment. Taking deep breaths helped her center herself amid chaos. "Okay, sweet pea," Ruby said softly, kneeling beside Maya, who held tightly to her arm. "Remember," she continued seriously, meeting her eyes. "Be good today, okay?" "I will, Mommy. Bye, Buddy." Maya waved enthusiastically before bouncing toward the school doors. Once her daughter disappeared, a bundle of energy holding on to dreams, Ruby felt the momentary silence hang heavily, the weight of undiscussed burdens pressing on her. Alone now, she released her worries and allowed misplaced fears to fade. She reflected on how love, despite its chaos, could create harmony and joy. Every challenge faced together now felt like part of their shared narrative, crafted beautifully with hope and resilience. Their lives intertwined like threads in a tapestry, growing stronger through every experience, enhancing the beauty of individual journeys. Ruby embraced the knowledge that they could move forward hand in hand, facing the unseen with courage and finding sanctuary in their tightly knit family. Ruby stood at the foot of the grand staircase, her heart racing a little as she took in the tall windows that framed a view of lush trees and blooming flowers outside. The interior of Hal Whitaker's home was as impressive as the estate itself. Elegant furnishings filled the space, but it felt warm and inviting rather than cold or showy. A soft rug underfoot muted her footsteps as she stepped inside. "Please, have a seat," Hal said, gesturing toward a cozy-looking sofa. His voice was calm and steady, with an air of kindness that put Ruby at ease. He moved to the kitchen area, where a pot of coffee was brewing. The rich aroma wafted toward her, filling her with a sense of comfort. "Thank you," Ruby replied, still feeling slightly dazed. She settled onto the sofa, glancing around at the framed photographs lining the walls. Most showed Hal with his late wife, smiling on adventures and during family gatherings. "Can I offer you some coffee?" he called from the kitchen. "Yes, please," Ruby answered, her voice quiet but steady. She tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear and took a deep breath to calm her nerves. Hal returned carrying 2 steaming mugs. He set one down on the table in front of her before settling into an armchair across from her. He wrapped his hands around his mug as if savoring not just the warmth but also the moment. "Thank you for bringing Buddy back," he said sincerely, his eyes meeting hers with genuine gratitude. "I can't tell you how much that means to me." Ruby felt warmth spread through her chest at his words. "He just appeared in front of my car last night," she said, feeling more relaxed now that they were talking about something they both cared about, the sweet dog who had brought them together. "I couldn't leave him out there in the rain." "I'm glad you didn't," Hal replied with a soft smile. "He has been such a good companion for me since my wife passed." His expression turned thoughtful for a moment before he continued, "You know how it is, life gets quiet without someone by your side." Ruby nodded slowly, feeling a connection form between them, a shared understanding born from loss. "I can only imagine how hard that must be." Hal took a sip of his coffee before leaning forward slightly in his chair. "What do you do for work?" he asked gently, noticing Ruby's worn uniform with its frayed edges. "I'm currently working part-time at the motel down on Maple Street," she said, trying to keep her tone light despite the fatigue creeping into her voice. "Laundry shifts mostly." "That must be tough," Hal said softly, studying her face closely, as if weighing something in his mind. "You're doing all this while raising your daughter?" Ruby nodded again. Pride bubbled up within her as she spoke about Maya. "It can be challenging sometimes." She paused for a moment to gather her thoughts before continuing. "But we manage." "I admire your strength," Hal remarked thoughtfully. The compliment caught Ruby off guard. She blinked and smiled shyly in response. Hal continued, "You know what? I've been thinking about starting up some community programs here in Willow Run, things to help bring people together again." His eyes brightened with excitement as he spoke. "Really?" Ruby asked cautiously. Curiosity danced within her heart despite herself. "Yes." Hal leaned forward more eagerly now. "One idea is to create a Reading to Dogs program for kids and seniors alike. Something fun and meaningful that brings joy to everyone involved." He paused for effect before adding, "And I could use some help organizing it all." Ruby's heart skipped a beat at his words. She could hardly believe what she was hearing. Was this man truly offering her something? A job? It seemed too good to be true. "Me?" she stammered out finally, after swallowing hard around the lump forming in her throat. "Yes," Hal affirmed earnestly. Warmth radiated from him like sunshine breaking through clouds after rainstorms had passed through too long, a soothing presence, reassuring Ruby that perhaps hope was possible again even amid difficulties ahead. "And I'd like someone reliable who understands kindness." He gestured toward Buddy resting contentedly by their feet, seemed almost like an extension of their conversation, no, and smiled fondly down at him too. "I would love to help," Ruby replied almost breathlessly, surprise bubbling over inside as ideas began swirling around excitedly in her mind. What would it look like? How could they make it happen? Hal raised an eyebrow curiously at Ruby's enthusiasm, but quickly shifted gears back into seriousness again. "Of course, there are details we'll need to discuss first," he said carefully, but with genuine intent, evident behind every word spoken aloud. Between them both it felt like something significant might happen next. The two shared smiles over their steaming mugs until moments later, when Buddy lifted his head lazily off the floor, stretching out luxuriously, then letting out an adorable yawn before curling back into himself once more, while also somehow signaling everyone else present about feeling right at home here together now. "Let's take our time getting started then," Ruby suggested gently after taking another sip herself. The warmth traveled straight down past all uncertainties, lingering close behind, ready-made possibilities, waiting patiently on new horizons ahead, waiting patiently alongside. Kindness once again, slowly blossoming back into full bloom, just like spring returning every year anew. Hal nodded enthusiastically while rising up suddenly out from beneath himself. "Why don't we begin this week if possible? I could use your help sorting through my late wife's library. You seem organized enough already, based upon seeing those uniforms you wear day in day out during shifts each week." With confidence shining brightly all around them both, they were moving forward step by step together, weaving future planned small steps transforming into larger strides onward toward bigger dreams, awaiting patiently behind every corner they faced head-on. As they discussed plans further including budgets along expected time frames, it became clear what lay ahead would bring purpose back, not only within themselves individually, but also throughout everyone else present, living here across Willow Run, where bonds began forming gradually deeper, each passing day filled equally with laughter, moments shared freely, openly, without hesitation, anywhere visible either. They spent what felt like hours talking, sharing stories and hopes, and somehow by then even knowing one another better than anyone else ever really did beforehand throughout their lives. Prior thus far today leading towards so many exciting new opportunities emerging brightly, illuminating everything now. Finally reaching conclusion point eventually too soon after initially arriving so unexpectedly. Earlier it was hard saying goodbye altogether. Even briefly, despite needing time apart once more, separating briefly once again temporarily, until meeting up next, soon afterward nonetheless. Guaranteed too soon. Walking outside felt refreshing again beneath brightening sunlight shining above lifting spirits, high effortlessly onward, shining bright already all around, naturally enveloping warmth surrounding everything nearby, drawing focus immediately. Away from mundane, worries left hanging elsewhere, temporarily behind. Instead choosing hope, where light shone brightest, here present instead. Now once gathered together, sharing feelings emerging freely between hearts, joining effortlessly, touching soulfully among each other, instantly leading onward towards tomorrow, shaping itself anew gradually. As Ruby drove home that evening, her mind raced ahead, thinking about everything discussed earlier today. Exciting possibilities swirled around joyfully, mixed in, creating delightful daydreams, painting colorful images against otherwise drab surroundings. Previously filled solely darkness, looming heavy overhead, blocking sunshine flowing downward, leaving emptiness everywhere nearby. Threatening darkness, returning lurking, shadows yearning close surrounding, yet failing ultimately. Accomplishing nothing left undone, eventually halting progress quietly, never arriving, henceforth returning indefinitely. Thereafter, everlastingly remained lost along journey, yet unheard elsewhere, remaining unnoticed along way wandering. Aimlessly ever onwards, leaving memories far behind, nowhere sought truly altogether empty hearts, hoping finding solace somewhere hidden waiting secretly, awaiting discovery regardless whether encountered unexpectedly. Finally arriving home, moments later, reaching driveway, the sound of gravel crunching softly underneath tires, filled air, somehow welcomed, softly luring spirits, welcoming quietly, inviting comfort freshly, newly released, becoming free-floating. Beautifully calming surrounding spaces, holding hopes alive inside midst, sweet serenity, embracing warmly, nurturing long-lost dreams, kindling passions, igniting flame, sparking brightly flourishing forth, unquenchable desires, yearning, fulfilling destiny, fully manifesting, magnificently, displaying truth, born anew, flourishing, proudly, illuminating beyond shadows, hiding, escaping, endlessly, craving light everywhere, yearning to discover vastness, spreading farther still, revealing unexpected joys. Previously obscured, wholly away, remaining undiscovered, waiting endlessly, longing patience, leading wondrous transformations, quietly beckoning fresh beginnings, unveiled dramatically crafting beautiful realities, reflecting love, flowing outward, empowering strength, building greater resilience, inspired forever, igniting faith, nurturing hope, blossoming boundless potential, residing deep within guiding journeys, shaping futures, realized wholeheartedly brightly, illuminating paths, onward, flourishing endlessly, uplifting lives, intermingling destinies, touched gently discovering truth, unwavering, renewed, returning, always paving ways, brighter aspirations, blossoming eternally rippling across land, forevermore. Nurturing, growing forth, resounding power, healing heart, interconnectedness, weaving histories, ever-knitting ties, binding firmly, bonding freely, forgiving ceaselessly, renewing building brighter, tomorrows endlessly rising, radiantly encompassing possibility, soaring, blissfully, floating above toward limitless horizons, beckoning grace, appearing fresh again, steadily flourishing souls, anchored deeply, finding roots, nourished, cultivated, tending, loving, lovingly. Crafted harmoniously guided steps taken, exploring unknown possibilities, reimagined, reawakened, discovering joy, mingling abundantly, unearthing treasure chest, life renewed, discovering together, walking boldly onward, embracing gracefully. Horizons, shimmering, glowing, beckoning, lively, vividly, swirling, countless colors unfurling, upward blooming forth, encouraging sharing beauty, realizing fullness, wrapping hearts, tenderly warmed, deeply, longing depths, comfort, knowing whispers, dancing beneath skies, embracing freedom, discovering expanses dreamed alive, pulling open door letting. Cool breeze flow past vibrant gardens, alive, sparkling, celebrating, jubilantly surrounding household. Sounds drew near, pulled pleasantly inward, lifting spirits, soothing restful exchanges, reverberating through. Ruby stepped into the Maple Street Diner the next day, a place she had visited countless times. The scent of fresh coffee and homemade pie filled the air, mingling with the chatter of regulars seated in booths and at the counter. Sunlight streamed through the large windows, casting a warm glow on the checkered floor. Today, however, Ruby felt a little out of place. Her heart fluttered with excitement and nerves as she made her way to her favorite booth. Juanita de Leon was already there, sipping a cup of tea and flipping through a quilt magazine. Her warm smile lit up the room as she spotted Ruby. "There you are. I was starting to think you'd forgotten our lunch date," Juanita said with a playful grin. She had an effortless way of making Ruby feel at home, like they were old friends, even though they had only known each other for a few months. "I wouldn't miss it for the world," Ruby replied, sliding into the booth across from Juanita. "I've got news." Juanita leaned in closer, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. "Oh? Tell me everything." With an eager smile, Ruby shared how she had returned Buddy to his owner, Hal Whitaker. She recounted how he had offered her a jawbone that came with benefits and stability. "I can't believe it. I'll be working part-time organizing his library and helping start that Reading to Dogs program." Her voice bubbled over with enthusiasm. "That's wonderful," Juanita exclaimed, clapping her hands together in delight. "You deserve this chance more than anyone I know." Ruby felt a warmth spread through her chest at Juanita's words. The past few years had been tough, filled with challenges as a single mom trying to make ends meet while juggling multiple jobs. To have someone believe in her like this was uplifting. But then, Juanita's expression shifted slightly as she leaned back in her seat, crossing her arms thoughtfully. "But you know, people will talk." The cheerful atmosphere around them seemed to dim just a little as Ruby processed Juanita's words. She glanced around the diner and noticed two women sitting at the next table who were whispering while shooting furtive glances in her direction. One of them raised an eyebrow, as if assessing Ruby like some kind of puzzle to solve. "What do you mean?" Ruby asked hesitantly. "You know how folks can be in Willow Run," Juanita said gently. "They'll gossip about how you landed this Joba single mom working for a millionaire." She shook her head slightly, but kept her tone light-hearted. "Some may think there's something fishy about it." Ruby bit her lip and looked down at the table for a moment, swirling her fingers over the smooth surface of the laminated menu that lay between them. Deep down, she knew what Juanita was saying held some truth. Small towns often thrived on rumors like weeds sprouting in cracks between sidewalk tiles. "Do you think I'm being too ambitious?" Ruby finally asked quietly, glancing back up at Juanita's reassuring face. "No, not at all." Juanita shook her head firmly. "You're simply seizing an opportunity that was given to you. But just keep your guard up." She reached across the table and squeezed Ruby's hand lightly before withdrawing it again. "Just remember your worth." "Thank you," Ruby said softly, feeling grateful for both Juanita's support and guidance. The waitress appeared just then, with their orders a hot bowl of chicken soup for Ruby, and a club sandwich for Juanita, interrupting their conversation momentarily. After exchanging polite smiles with the waitress and watching her walk away, Ruby took a deep breath to settle herself again. "I'll be okay," she said more confidently now, as she stirred some salt into her soup. "It's just, everything feels so new." "Of course. New can be scary," Juanita agreed with understanding in her eyes. "But new also brings hope." The two women spent their lunch chatting about life, their families, work stories, and dreams that stretched beyond their small-town border slaughter, spilling between them like sunlight warming their spirits. As they finished up their meals and shared slices of pie topped with whipped cream, a sweet indulgence they both enjoyed, Ruby couldn't shake off that nagging feeling deep inside her gut about what others might say or think about her situation. After paying their bill, they stood outside together under the awning, as raindrops began to fall again from darkening clouds above them. "Be strong," Juanita said earnestly, as they hugged goodbye tightly for longer than usual, gesture of solidarity against whatever storm might come. "I will," Ruby promised, as she watched Juanita head down Maple Street toward St. Luke's Fellowship Hall, where community meetings often took place. Once alone again under cloudy skies on this familiar street, lined with maple trees shedding their leaves early this year, her heart fluttered anew. But now it wasn't excitement or nervousness. It was anxiety creeping back in like mist curling through branches overhead. She took one last glance toward where she had last seen Juanita, before heading toward her car parked nearby, a reliable old sedan that had seen better days, but still got them where they needed to go safely enough for now despite its rattling engine every once in a while when going uphill steeply on those North Carolina roads, leading back home after long shifts spent cleaning rooms or washing linens until late hours faded into dawn without respite from worry hanging overhead about bills piling high again soon after each payday arrived, too briefly sometimes. As she approached her car door, and tried not focusing too much on those two women from earlier still watching from afar near an outdoor table close by, an unexpected chill raced through her spine against reality setting back in surrounding them both. How would people view what seemed too good an opportunity suddenly dropped right into someone else's lap without any apparent reason other than kindness shown unexpectedly? Climbing inside finally felt relieving, though heavy thoughts lingered behind, lingering remnants, haunting within, regardless, until steering wheel settled beneath hands, firmly holding steady while wiping away dampness collecting along fingertips caused only partially by rainfall, drizzling lightly onto windshield, gradually obscuring visibility momentarily, before shifting gears began pulling away slowly from diner lot. She would soon start at Hal's Estate, the Reading to Dogs program, launching alongside managing his late wife's library full-time beginning today, meant everything positive beyond mere paycheck earned should it succeed. It mattered deeply since knowing children relied heavily upon love built among community roots, sharing mutual encouragement amidst challenging times ahead. While waiting briefly before turning onto Main Street, past rows upon rows, storefronts brightened by fresh paint jobs, shimmering cheerfully, catching eyes gazing up curiously everywhere nearby alike, drawing smiles wherever looking, even at same pair gossiping further behind, heading off toward another block, instead giving brief waves towards passing vehicles, honking lightly back, either playfully greeting, friends known around town, always keeping things interesting whenever gatherings arose here, no matter weather condition forecasted ahead next week, or further into seasons approaching very soon. Ruby shook off these musings, focusing instead, straight ahead, preparing mentally. Steleven wishing fervently, each step forward taken would bring greater clarity, emerging brightly through clouds, shrouding hearts, gently leading toward brighter horizons unfolding beyond uncertainty. Now, gathering alongside, whispers exchanged silently, drifting away softly, beneath breaths, caught somewhere else, unseen far away yet never lost completely, maybe drifting closer here within. Boundaries held closely protected until recognized anew, whenever caring hands reached out unexpectedly, somehow easing burdens lifted high above heads, looking skyward, hopeful toward goodness, breaking free continuously, no matter obstacles. Strewn along pathways, encountered ever since. Life first brought joy, mixed thickly alongside sorrows, tasted throughout years, growing wiser, embracing courage, remaining grounded, always keeping faith alive, steady within souls, undeterred. Despite challenges faced day after day, endlessly seeking solutions, navigating trails, carefully led forth, seeking light, illuminating brighter paths set forth, guiding intentions, purposefully onward, transforming fears, cast aside, becoming joys. Instead, as sunlight broke out timidly behind gray clouds, lifting slowly, yet surely higher than before, reflecting back down again, illuminating vibrant colors throughout landscape, shimmering beneath fading raindrops, settling peacefully amongst fallen leaves, decorating ground below, encouraging feet, moving faster onward, believing deeper connections existed waiting just outside. Sightlines bound, not far hidden behind walls, formed only barriers imposed long ago. Trust required, bringing change necessary towards unity cherished despite differences, experienced sharing common bonds, stronger, felt prevailing, deeper empathy could spark growth, cultivating possibilities previously unnoticed, opening doors, revealing avenues traveled anew, if just taking first steps forward, accepting realities, changing mindsets, gradually evolving, perceptions, overcoming prejudices, rooted deeply hidden, underground, growing softer together, through shared experiences becoming family formed, choosing love over fear, discovering ways embracing differences, appreciated often unknown, allowing healing moments, reshaping entire communities, standing tall, united, encouraging resilience, shining brighter, forevermore. Arriving at Hal Whitaker's estate sent butterflies swirling once more, swirling restlessly around inside stomach, excited yet uncertain, faced so many thoughts, racing ahead, making head spin, trying calming voice, lingering echo, reminding, settling quickly, stopping, slowly, inhaling, grounding feelings, balancing hopes, dreamed openly possible. Things accomplished meant lasting impacts, perhaps someday celebrating friendships, built a long way, adding bright colors across canvases. Previously, blank. Now filling spaces everywhere, beautifully stitched together, lovingly creating legacies, honored, worthy carrying torch, passed along, ensuring brightness carried well onward, shaping futures, dreamed, fondly imagined. Once parked safely under trees, bordering property lines, soft rustles heard beckoning invitation forward, leading anywhere next. Invited, exploring beginnings, quietly rising, patiently ready themselves, awakening gentle nudges, promising new discoveries unfolding, joyously, igniting sparks, blooming radiant sunshine, lingering kisses, raining down blessings, cascading peacefully, sweeping softly, embracing entire valley, reminding everyone, open wide hearts, togetherness, uplift spirits. Uniting individuals, becoming family, intertwined, rooted, strong, enabling future generations grow, knowing warmth, supporting light, nurturing souls, allowing dreams thrive, create transform together, learning every lesson shared equipping growing. Seeds planted, enduring shelter. Provided shelter opened hearts, welcoming laughter, echoing, resounding sweet melodies, resonating rhythms, crafting new chapters written forever. Feeling determined. Breathing deeply once more. Sending whispers. Hope spreading. Reaching every corner. Touching lives, shaping perspectives. Finding common ground. Discovering ways. Create change. Opening paths. Lighting bright. Inviting others. Joining journey. Always welcomed. Empowering. Strengthened voices. Rising courageously among crowd. Courageous enough fight beliefs. Sparked purpose. Clarity focused. True selves. Stepping forth together. Claiming space intentionally reclaimed fully. Expressing beautifully authentic selves. Deserving moments. Lived. Fully. Deserving joy. Embraced. Proudly. Remembering resilience. Flowed gracefully through collective histories, creating harmony lasting wherever footsteps ventured, seeking, find. Return. Ultimately, lifted heads shine, proud, reflecting courage, evolving, leaving imprints behind. Ruby stood in the bright, airy room of Hal Whitaker's estate, surrounded by shelves filled with books of all shapes and sizes. The sun poured through the large windows, casting warm light over the wooden furniture and soft rugs. She felt a sense of peace as she carefully arranged the volumes, their spines lined up like soldiers ready for a mission. Buddy lay sprawled on a plush dog bed nearby, his golden fur glinting in the sunlight. Ruby smiled at him, watching as he occasionally twitched his paws in his sleep. She had grown fond of the gentle retriever in such a short time. He seemed to sense her mood, and always provided comfort when she needed it most. As Ruby sorted through the books, she marveled at the collection. There were classic novels, children's stories, and volumes filled with knowledge about everything from gardening to history. Hal's late wife must have loved reading deeply. It showed in how meticulously everything was kept. "Those are some great titles," Hal said from behind her. Ruby turned to see him standing by the doorway, a soft smile on his face as he held a scrapbook close to his chest. "I've never seen such an amazing collection before," Ruby replied, gesturing toward the shelves. "Your wife must have spent hours here." Hal nodded slowly, his expression turning thoughtful. She loved books. More than anything, she wanted to share that love with others. He stepped into the room and handed her the scrapbook. "I thought you might like to see some of her projects." Curious, Ruby opened it gently. The pages were filled with photographs and newspaper clippings, children reading aloud to dogs at local shelters, community events promoting literacy, and smiling faces everywhere. It was clear that Hal's wife had dedicated her life to helping others find joy in reading. She started programs for kids at schools all over town, Hal explained as Ruby flipped through the pages. She believed everyone deserved access to books and learning. "That's beautiful," Ruby said softly, feeling a swell of admiration for the woman she never met but felt she already knew through these memories. Her dream was to create a safe space for kids and adults alike, Hal continued. His voice carried both pride and sadness, a reminder of what he had lost, but also what he hoped to continue. Ruby paused on a photo of a young girl sitting on a colorful rug surrounded by dogs and books stacked high around her. The girl wore glasses and was laughing while holding up a picture book titled "The Very Hungry Caterpillar." "This looks like so much fun," she said with a smile. Hal chuckled lightly as he leaned against the doorframe. "It was fun. We would have reading days where families could come together with their pets." She believed animals helped bring out kindness in people. "Kindness really is contagious," Ruby said thoughtfully, as she turned another page, showcasing another event where children were painting book covers beside their four-legged friends. Just then, there was a knock on the doorframe that startled them both. A delivery man stood there with an eyebrow raised as if trying to piece together what he saw before him, an unknown woman in Hal's home, surrounded by his late wife's belongings. "Mr. Whitaker?" the man called out hesitantly. "Yes?" Hal replied evenly but firmly. The delivery man shifted uncomfortably, but then pointedly glanced at Ruby before returning his gaze back to Hal. "I've got your order here." Ruby felt her cheeks flush slightly under the scrutiny. She straightened her posture instinctively while holding onto the scrapbook tightly. Hal cleared his throat and gestured toward Ruby, casually yet protectively, as if to reassure both men that this was not an unusual occurrence. "This is Ruby Ellis. She's helping me organize some things around here." The delivery man blinked at them both before nodding slowly but still looked doubtful about why someone like Ruby would be working in such an elegant home. "Well, okay then," he mumbled as he set down several boxes labeled books next to Hal's desk without further inquiry or comment before turning away hastily. Once they heard footsteps fade down the hallway, Ruby let out a breath she didn't realize she had been holding back since that awkward exchange began. "People can be so judgmental sometimes," Hal remarked quietly as he picked up one of the boxes labeled children's books and placed it on top of another stack across from where they stood. "I know how that feels." Ruby frowned slightly as memories of whispers from town swirled in her mind, the whispers that followed her wherever she went since taking this job, and she fought against those doubts creeping back into her heart like unwelcome visitors. "It will take time for them to understand your role here." He offered an understanding glance toward her, while stacking more boxes neatly along one wall filled with various book genres mysteries next to adventure tales beside. History Saul, waiting for new readers, eager enough, just like those captured moments within his scrapbook memories. "Yes, time," Ruby echoed thoughtfully before glancing back at Buddy, who had shifted positions, now a contented sigh escaping him as he rolled onto his side, revealing fluffy paws stretching outward, happy, oblivious, still regarding any human troubles surrounding him right now. Their laughter cut through some lingering tension between them as they shared an easy moment amid deeper conversations about kindness, lingering long after its presence had faded away, just moments earlier even after facing sudden challenges. Together, hours flew by like quick bursts throughout this beautiful afternoon, until finally they found themselves gathering remnants scattered about, carefully arranged around desks, full shelves neatly packed away, almost effortlessly. "Now, what do you think?" asked Hal, suddenly breaking their silence once again, bringing attention toward stacks already set aside, eagerly awaiting, sorting later tonight when lights dimmed down outside, illuminating pathways beyond glass doors, opening wide outside. Welcoming, dusk, creeping, ever closer behind curtains, gently brushing past walls, shimmering orange hue, illuminated brightly overhead, giving life-brightened corners softly glimmering. "It looks wonderful!" exclaimed Ruby, gleefully beaming proud satisfaction, washing over every part living within herself. How amazing this change brought upon not only spaces transformed, but lives intertwined unexpectedly yet beautifully too. They continued discussing plans for Buddy's reading program ahead, laying foundation down gently yet firmly, guiding ideas, flowing effortlessly, bouncing between them, brainstorming creative approaches, preparing thoughtful activities, designing layout, inviting excitement surrounding everything involved. As twilight settled quietly upon Willow Run, revealing stars beginning peek through trees, growing darker just beyond window panes, quietly glowing, comforting ambiance, spreading warmth throughout halls, echoing laughter, carrying gentle kindness, weaving its way into hearts alike, building hope, shining brightly, lifting spirits higher all around them. That evening, after completing more tasks together, managing finishes left undone, returning homewards, they each exchanged heartfelt goodbyes, wishing bests until meeting again soon, hoping possibilities await, bright futures open wide alongside. New adventures flourishing further, yet imagined along roads taken, next steps, rising above struggles faced. Once inside, cozy confines, home familiar scents, wafted pleasantly, welcoming, embraced tenderly, keeping warmth contained safe cocoon, wrapped around loving arms, familiar surroundings, cherished dear, despite anything outside remaining constant. Perhaps unseen uncertainties, still lurking nearby, waiting patiently, respecting boundaries, holding firm, keeping still alive. Hope alive, inside, wanting nurturing carry forth even stronger than ever, despite challenges, yet presented previously. No matter how difficult, seemingly endless, climbing upward, reaching towards brighter tomorrows unfolding before them, eagerly blossoming. The sun peeked through the tall trees surrounding St. Luke's Fellowship Hall, warming the cool Saturday morning. Ruby Ellis stood outside the church, her heart light with excitement. Today was the annual coat drive, a chance for the community to come together and help those in need. The air smelled fresh, filled with the promise of new beginnings and shared kindness. As she walked toward the entrance, Ruby carried a stack of colorful flyers for the Reading to Dogs program she was helping Hal start. Each flyer had a cheerful illustration of Buddy, the golden retriever who had turned her life around so unexpectedly. She could already picture children reading to him, their eyes wide with wonder as they shared stories aloud. Inside, tables were set up with boxes overflowing, with warm coats of every size, some shiny and new, others well-loved and gently worn. Volunteers buzzed about, laughing and chatting as they sorted through donations. Ruby spotted Juanita De Leon at a table near the back, arranging a pile of winter hats. "Hey there, Ruby," Juanita called out, waving her hand enthusiastically. "You brought those flyers? Let's get them up where everyone can see." Ruby smiled back, her spirits lifting even more. "Yes, right over here." She followed Juanita to an empty wall where they could hang the flyers. Hal arrived shortly after, carrying a box filled with more supplies for the Reading to Dogs program, dog treats, soft blankets for Buddy to lie on during sessions, and some extra promotional materials he'd printed out just for this event. He placed it down gently beside them. "Good morning," Hal said with his usual calm demeanor. "Looks like we're in for a busy day." "It's wonderful to see everyone coming together," Ruby replied as she pinned up the first flyer. The colors popped against the white wall. Buddy's big brown eyes looked inviting and warm. "I hope we can get some kids excited about reading." "I have no doubt," Hal said, watching her work. There was admiration in his eyes that made Ruby blush slightly. She brushed off her self-consciousness as she stepped back to admire their handiwork. With everything set up nicely, they turned their attention back to the coat drive preparations. Volunteers gathered around them to hear about their new initiative. "All right, everyone," Ruby called out to gather attention. "Thank you all for being here today. I'm excited to announce that starting next week at St. Luke's Community Center, we'll be launching a Reading to Dogs program with our very own Buddy." A few volunteers clapped enthusiastically, while others leaned in closer to hear more. "You'll be able to bring your kids in on Saturday mornings to read stories aloud while Buddy listens patiently," Hal added with his signature gentle authority. "I've seen how kids light up when they read to dogs," Juanita chimed in. "It really helps build their confidence." As Ruby spoke about the benefits of reading aloud to dogs, encouragement without judgment, their heart swelled with hope for what this program could bring, not only for children, but also for families looking for connection during tough times. Just then, Tyler Carter wandered over from where he'd been helping organize coats with his mother Denise nearby. The 10-year-old boy had an innocent curiosity about him. His bright blue eyes sparkled as he listened intently. Hal knelt down slightly so he could be at eye level with Tyler. "Hey there, are you excited about today?" Tyler nodded eagerly, but seemed shy under Hal's gentle gaze. "Do you like dogs?" Hal asked him softly. "I love dogs," Tyler exclaimed suddenly before glancing at Buddy, lounging comfortably near Ruby's feet. "Can I pet him?" "Of course," Ruby encouraged him while pointing towards Buddy, who seemed perfectly happy just soaking in all the attention. Tyler approached cautiously at first, but then leaned down slowly as Buddy wagged his tail energetically in response to seeing a new friend coming closer. "His name is Buddy," Ruby explained as Tyler reached out tentatively and let his fingers brush against Buddy's soft fur. The dog sighed happily and leaned into Tyler's touch. While Tyler played with Buddy, under Hal's watchful eye, Denise Carter hurried into St. Luke's Fellowship Hall wearing an oversized coat that looked like it belonged in another decadone that didn't match her current style or confidence level either. But it fit her perfectly today because it kept away the cold air outside. "Tyler, what are you doing over here?" Denise called out across the room as she rushed toward them, visibly flustered from juggling both her son and several bags filled with donated coats in her arms. Hal stood up straight again when Denise arrived beside them. He greeted her warmly but respectfully, as always, because he understood how challenging it could be raising a child alone while dealing with everything else life threw at you too. "I'm just petting Buddy," Tyler replied cheerfully, while still scratching behind Buddy's ears, which earned him more joyful wiggles from their furry friend. Denise smiled faintly but still looked overwhelmed by how much work was ahead of them. Today, fleeting moment where relief washed over before reality hit again once she remembered how much needed doing before any donations went out into local hands waiting on warm winter gear instead. As they chatted casually about their plans for spreading warmth this season, the spirit of giving filling every corner, the mood shifted when an unexpected hush fell upon nearby volunteers who'd overheard something particularly alarming from none other than young Tyler himself. In one quick breath filled only by innocence, without understanding fully what implications lay behind such words spoken aloud so carelessly amongst people gossiping nearby. "Mommy says you're my daddy?" Tyler whispered loudly enough that it pierced through conversations like thunder rumbling above them, a revelation far beyond what anyone expected amidst cheerful laughter moments ago. Gasps echoed throughout St. Luke's Fellowship Hall, instantly sending ripples through volunteers' expressions from shocked disbelief, mixed confusion and immediately halted whatever was taking place earlier, just seconds prior, leaving everyone uncertain about how best respond next. Denise froze mid-step as heat flushed her cheeks. Crimson, red, noticing several faces turned towards them, including Juanita, who blinked repeatedly, trying to process what exactly happened, while Hal stood frozen beside her, looking completely taken aback by such unexpected pronouncement made by young ears, lacking foresight whatsoever. Ruby felt herself freeze. Too, her heart raced alongside Denise's emotions flaring high above their heads, yet every glance. Ruby exited St. Luke's Fellowship Hall, her heart lightened from the day's joy. The sun glowed over Willow Run as she planned errands before returning home to Maya. Yet, a strange feeling of being watched lingered. A group of women at the entrance whispered and turned to follow her. "Why are they looking at me like that?" Ruby murmured, climbing into her old sedan. Dismissing it as her imagination, she drove down Maple Street, recalling the kindness at the coat drive. However, whispers echoed in her mind, and she noticed more eyes on her, curtains fluttering, and people glancing from porches, all feeling heavy. Pulling into the Maple Street diner, Ruby inhaled deeply, hoping coffee and pie would lift her spirits. But something felt off today. Familiar scents wrapped around her, yet tension hung in the air as heads turned to watch her. The waitress, Carla, beamed at Ruby. "Hey there, long time no see. What can I get you today?" "Just coffee and cherry pie," Ruby offered with a careful smile. As Carla wrote, she paused, tilting her head. "Is it true?" she whispered. Ruby's heart sank, knowing the topic but reluctant to engage. "I'm not sure what you mean," she said, avoiding eye contact. Carla leaned in. "About you and Hal Whitaker? I heard he offered you a job because of... you know." The words felt intrusive. "I really don't want to talk about it," Ruby replied firmly, finally meeting Carla's gaze. Carla nodded, concern evident before she retreated to the kitchen. Left alone, Ruby stirred sugar into her coffee, breathing shallowly, trying to navigate her life amidst the assumptions about Hal's help, which threatened to suffocate her. After enjoying her coffee and pie, Ruby stood with mixed emotions, thankful for Hal's kindness, yet uneasy about others' perceptions. Stepping outside, she overheard two women from the diner. "A single mom like that. followed by laughter, like ice water against her skin. Exhausted from all the scrutiny, Ruby hurried to her car, only to run into Mrs. Simmons, her neighbor. "Oh dear," Mrs. Simmons exclaimed. "Is it true, about you working for Mr. Whitaker?" Ruby forced a smile, panic crawling inside her. "It's not quite how people are saying," she replied. "Oh?" Mrs. Simmons raised an eyebrow, arms crossed as if bracing for a revelation. "Hal is very kind. He offered me help with his late wife's library, nothing more." "I see." Mrs. Simmons' voice trailed off as she searched Ruby's expression for confirmation. "I promise," Ruby insisted, locking eyes with Mrs. Simmons, hoping for understanding despite the tension. "Well then," Mrs. Simmons relaxed slightly, as if reassured. They exchanged goodbyes, remaining questions lingering. Inside her home, Maya burst across the floor. "Mommy!" "Hey there!" Ruby twirled her daughter around, the laughter filling the room. "Maya, you won't believe what happened at St. Luke's today." Setting down her bag filled with crafts and cookie crumbs, Ruby embraced the joy of their time together, trying to push her worries aside. Maya excitedly recounted the day's events, and Ruby listened, realizing her daughter held a magic so pure. As evening fell, their home filled with warmth and quiet laughter. Yet reality loomed nearby, waiting in the shadows. Suddenly, a ping broke the stillness. Ruby looked at her phone. Juanita's message read, "The story's already on the town Facebook page." Chilled, Ruby felt a rush of anxiety unfold, echoing the day's whispers as the depth of her community's perceptions hit her. Gossip could spiral as quickly as kindness. Uncertainty lay ahead, and before her, a difficult journey awaited. Ruby breathed deeply, parking outside Hal's estate on that chilly Monday morning. The sun barely brightened the cloudy sky, casting a grayish hue over the manicured lawn. With heavy uncertainty in her heart, she stepped out, dreading the risk of losing her job after the coat drive incident, while town gossip surrounded her like autumn leaves. As she approached the entrance, anxiety knotted tighter in her stomach. Knocking on the door, Hal greeted her with a warm smile, but his weary eyes hinted at exhaustion. "Good morning, Ruby. I'm glad you made it." "Thanks for having me," Ruby replied, forcing a smile despite her nerves. Inside, the familiarity of the house offered momentary comfort with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee and polished wood. Hal led her to his study, a cozy room filled with books and photographs. Yet today, it carried an air of tension. "Have a seat," he gestured. Ruby sat hesitantly. "Is everything okay?" Hal sighed. "We need to talk about what happened at St. Luke's." He avoided her gaze, peering at the cluttered desk. "Denise is upset about Tyler's comment. We both are." "I understand," Ruby said. "Tyler didn't mean any harm." But deep down, she felt the weight of judgment following her. Hal's expression softened. Sometimes kids say things that reveal deep issues. His voice was cautious, as if choosing each word thoughtfully. Ruby closed her eyes briefly, recalling how people were gossiping about her, their glances laced with suspicion during coffee shop conversations. "I don't want trouble for us," Hal added quietly, recognizing her distress. "Your reputation matters here." "But my job," Ruby started, unable to complete the thought. "I know," he said gently. "I want you to stay, but we need to address this." "Address this?" Ruby echoed, uncertainty etched on her face. "Yes. Denise will be here soon for a private talk." Hal's gaze was laden with concern. "What do you want me to say?" she asked, her voice quaking. "Just be honest. Share your side," he encouraged. "This is difficult for all of us." Before they could continue, the doorbell rang, interrupting them. "That'll be Denise," Hal said quietly and walked toward the entrance. Ruby took a deep breath, eyeing a photo of Hal with his late wife, a reminder that personal loss complicates lives. Hal opened the door, letting Denise into the house. Tension hung in the air, mirroring Ruby's anxiety as Denise entered, cautious yet resolved, like someone stepping into a lion's den. "Thank you for meeting us," Hal said, gesturing to the chair across from him. Denise nodded, settling down. "How are you holding up?" Hal asked gently. Denise looked away for a moment, searching for strength. Finally, she replied, "I'm okay." But her voice was heavy with the burden she had carried. Silence enveloped them, broken only by the sounds of measured breathing. "Denise," Ruby ventured after noting Denise's weariness, "everyone's talking about us." Denise sighed, acknowledging the burden of worry for their future. Ruby nodded, knowing how relentless rumors could be in their small town. "It seems everyone's eyes are on us," Denise breathed, the dread heavy in her voice. "I just want to address it and move on," Ruby said, her nervousness palpable in the silence. Hal interjected quietly, "The sooner we tackle this, the better." "All we can do is speak our truth," Denise added, looking from Hal to Ruby, uniting their shared resolve. As they sat together amid the simmering tension, a sense of collective understanding began to weave threads among them, a fragile yet essential bond meant to weather whatever storms lay ahead. Inside Pastor Glenn's office, the atmosphere felt thick with tension. Sunlight streamed through the window, casting warm rays on the wooden desk and the well-worn chairs that surrounded it. The walls were lined with bookshelves filled with thick tomes and small trinkets from various mission trips. A sense of peace usually filled this space, but today it felt different. Denise sat in one of the chairs, her fingers fidgeting nervously with the hem of her sweater. She glanced at Pastor Glenn, who sat across from her, his gentle eyes filled with understanding. The pastor had a way of making people feel seen and heard, and today she needed that more than ever. "Denise," Pastor Glenn said softly, leaning forward slightly, "you know why we're here." She nodded slowly, swallowing hard, as memories flooded back. The argument with her ex's harsh words echoing in her mind like a broken record. "I never meant for any of this to happen," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Tyler was just being a kid. He didn't understand." "Tell me what happened," Pastor Glenn encouraged gently. Denise took a deep breath, willing herself to find the words. "It was during a fight. My ex was saying awful things about how I couldn't raise Tyler right. I was upset and—" She paused, trying to collect her thoughts. "I just blurted out that he'd be better off with a good man like Mr. Whitaker. I didn't mean it like that, it was just something to say to hurt him back." Pastor Glenn nodded slowly as she spoke, his expression thoughtful. "And Tyler took that literally?" "Yes," Denise replied, feeling heat rise to her cheeks as embarrassment washed over her. "He must have connected the dots in his innocent way. I never thought he'd repeat it." Her hands trembled slightly as she recalled the shocked faces at the coat drive when Tyler whispered those words. "And now, it's spiraled into something much bigger," Pastor Glenn stated softly, his voice steady but filled with concern. Denise looked down at her lap, tears pricking at her eyes. "I've been called so many names since then. People think I'm trying to trap Hal or something. They don't know what he did for me all those years ago." She bit her lip, feeling ashamed and vulnerable under Pastor Glenn's gaze. "Can you tell me about that?" he prompted gently. Denise hesitated but saw kindness in his eyes, urging her on. "A long time ago, before Tyler was born, I found myself pregnant and alone." She inhaled deeply, as memories of fear washed over her. Again the anxiety of not knowing how she would manage or provide for a child haunted her. "Still, Hal helped me anonymously back then when I was struggling. He paid for my clinic visits so I could get proper care." Her voice trembled slightly as she spoke about Hal's quiet act of kindness, a secret she had kept close to her heart for years. "Why didn't you ever tell anyone?" Pastor Glenn asked gently. "I guess I didn't want people to think less of me," Denise admitted quietly, shame creeping in again at the thought of others knowing about her past struggles. It felt easier to pretend it didn't happen. Pastor Glenn leaned back in his chair thoughtfully before responding. "But you're not alone in this anymore. You have people who care about you who want to help." Denise met his gaze and felt a flicker of hope amidst the despair swirling around them both. Perhaps there was still a chance for redemption, not just for herself, but for Hal, too. "Do you think Hal will understand?" Denise asked hesitantly, after a moment of silence hung between them like an unfinished thought. "I believe he will, Pastor Glenn replied reassuringly, though there was a hint of uncertainty in his tone as well. What if no one believes us? Denise pressed on anxiously. The thought sent shivers down her spine. The judgmental looks from neighbors and townsfolk replayed vividly in her mind, like an old movie reel stuck on repeat. We'll take it one step at a time, he assured her calmly, but firmly, a quiet strength emanating from him like sunlight breaking through clouds after rain. But how do we even start? Denise asked hopelessly. The weight of everything seemed almost too much to bear alone. Hal's voice echoed through Denise's mind, a reminder of both kindness and complexity wrapped up in their shared history. Together, a man caught up now in swirling rumors because of innocent words spoken by an unknowing child. We start by telling our truths, Pastor Glenn encouraged softly but resolutely. There was power behind his words that ignited courage within Denise's heart once more. A gentle flame, growing brighter amid doubt and fear swirling around them both. Just then, there came a knock on the door before it creaked open. Slightly, the sight of Hal standing there caused both Denise's heart rate and breath quicken at once. Uncertainty clouded every thought, racing through her mind, like autumn leaves caught up in gusty winds. Would he see things differently? Is this a bad time? Hal asked tentatively, as if sensing something heavy lay within this small room already packed with emotion, a gathering storm, ready to break free at any moment, yet also fragile enough not to shatter altogether if handled carefully. An intricate balance, resting precariously upon fragile foundations, built over years, filled with memories, both good and painful alike. No, Pastor Glenn replied warmly, while gesturing toward an empty chair beside Denise's own, none where Hal could join them easily enough if he chose without making anyone uncomfortable, despite tensions already hanging thick around them. All too readily. As Hal stepped inside cautiously before closing the door behind him, softly, it felt like stepping onto sacred ground where hearts would be laid bare. The three sat together, now under watchful eyes brimming with hope despite uncertainties. Hovering overhead, still remaining heavy like storm clouds, awaiting release, while quietly daring dreams lingered somewhere just out beyond reach, awaiting discovery, yet unsure whether they'd find their way home again any time soon. I wanted us all here together today, because we need clarity moving forward, Hal said slowly, looking between them both, his voice calm though edged, slightly sharp, underneath, carrying remnants from nights spent lost within thoughts, perhaps filled too heavily, weighed down by unanswered questions, lingering near. Denise has shared some things with me already regarding what happened at St. Luke's last week, Pastor Glenn interjected gently to steer them toward honesty while attempting not add any pressure but wanting desperately for everyone present tonight able trust each other fully, without hesitation. Hal turned towards Denise, as if seeking assurance behind familiar lines, etched deep into their past, the weight bearing down upon him, thickening further still, making every breath seem harder than necessary. She told me about Tyler's comment, that you've been helping us silently all these years without anyone ever knowing. His tone shifted slightly softer, somehow holding warmth hidden beneath layers formed throughout countless moments, shared even amidst chaos surrounding life outside this room. I never meant for any of this. I'm sorry, Denise exclaimed, suddenly feeling tears welling anew again, threatening spill forth again onto cheeks already dampened before. Her heart raced beneath watchful gaze, trying catch-hold breath itself, lost somewhere between confessions laid bare aloud alongside emotions flooding forth, uninvited. I believe you, Hal assured gently, while reaching out towards hers, offering solace without needing words exchanged, beyond silence. Bridging distance created long ago, finally now beginning, ease away. I know how people can jump quickly into assumptions based solely upon half-truths or misconstrued statements. Trust is fragile. He paused, thoughtfully, remembering battles fought tirelessly, amidst gossip found drifting quietly throughout town, spinning stories turning lives upside down, often painfully ripping apart bonds forged through years together battling adversities encountered along paths traveled thus far. We can work through this, but first, let's agree we'll keep everything discussed here private until we have clarity ourselves surrounding next steps forward. Hal suggested, confidently, appearing calm although beneath surface ripples churned restlessly. Waiting release. Yes. Both responded almost simultaneously, both sensing urgency, growing stronger, pushing against walls, built surrounding fears, deeper, rooted inside, hiding shadows, dwelling close, nearby, waiting, patiently lurking, ready, spring forth, unexpectedly. Challenging resolve, built stronger day by day amid struggles endured longer than anticipated. Yet uncertainty loomed large, still causing nerves, prickling, tingle, dancing uneasily across skin, sending chills creeping downward. Spinia's thoughts raced along paths, uncertain, navigating treacherous terrain towards brighter tomorrows ahead. Somehow guiding hearts safely onward regardless obstacles faced along way. Finding truth ultimately leads back home. By midweek, the murmurs that began at St. Luke's had erupted into a loud clamor throughout Willow Run. A cropped video of Tyler's innocent remarks spread rapidly on local social media, showing him beside Hal with his serious little face as he said, "Mommy says you're my daddy." In days, the town buzzed with gossip. Ruby sat at the Maple Street diner during her lunch break, attempting to enjoy vegetable soup. Instead of warmth, it felt cold against her skin as she overheard conversations from nearby tables. "Did you see that video?" one woman whispered. "I knew something was going on." "I heard she's after his money," another added disdainfully. Ruby's heart sank, sensing judgmental eyes on her. Taking a deep breath, she stirred her soup, fighting tears. The chaos that ensued since rescuing Buddy weighed heavily on her. What started as a simple act became a whirlwind. The waitress approached, her notepad ready. Ruby forced a smile. "More bread?" "No thanks," she replied softly, looking outside as rain began to patter against the glass, mirroring her mood. After lunch, Ruby drove back to Hal's estate, feeling less welcome. Anxiety washed over her as the rain fell. Would she still have a job? Would Hal want to be seen with her? Her heart raced at the thought of facing him. Inside, Hal awaited her in the cozy library where they once shared deep conversations. The warm light filtered through tall windows, illuminating his tired yet hopeful face, etched deeply with lines. "Ruby," he said, warmth laced with worry. "Thank you for coming." "Of course," she replied, crossing the room. The shelves around them contained books of various subjects, including children's stories that stirred nostalgia. Hal motioned for her to sit in the plush chair facing him. "I wanted to discuss everything happening." Ruby heard the tension in his voice, frustration and disappointment, echoing her own feelings. He explained how people questioned their relationship and his generosity. "They've paused your choir donation at school," he said somberly. "Why?" Ruby gasped. "They can't proceed until things settle down," he continued, brows furrowing. "There are concerns about, well, you know." Ruby nodded, understanding all too well the implications of being a single mother in contrast to Hal's wealth. "I don't want you to feel uncomfortable here," Hal said gently. "I don't want anyone to think poorly of you because of me." "Hal," Ruby interrupted softly but firmly, "this isn't your fault." She paused, choosing her words with care. "I appreciate everything you've done for me and Maya, but I don't want anyone thinking I'm using you." Hal's gaze softened. "I admire your strength, but we both know how people twist things here." A heaviness hung in the air, an understanding tainted by sadness for what might be lost to rumors. Just then, Buddy trotted into the room, tail wagging. His golden fur glistened in the light, unaware of the stress surrounding them. Hal scratched Buddy behind his ears, smiling faintly, reminding them that joy could still exist amidst turmoil. "Let's keep moving forward together," Hal suggested after a moment filled only with Buddy's happy panting. Ruby nodded slowly, yet worries clung to her as she organized bookshelves, glancing at Hal, yearning for clarity about their situation beyond mere friendship. Later that evening, Ruby returned home after a long day, filled with uncertainty and meaningful discussions. The familiar scent of pasta sauce greeted her, originating from Maya's kitchen efforts. Despite the chaos outside, a strange comfort filled her. "Mama!" Maya exclaimed, rushing forward to hug her tightly. "Can we talk?" "What about, sweetheart?" Ruby asked, sensing urgency. Maya frowned, nervous. "They were saying stuff at school today." "What kind of stuff?" Ruby replied cautiously. That I'm chasing a rich man." Ruby gasped, ice-cold water seeming to flow through her veins. She felt protective instinct rising fiercely against such hurtful words, carelessly thrown around words that endangered the essence of their family. "Maya," Ruby whispered, barely maintaining her resolve, shaken by the disclosure. She recognized the need to navigate through the painful truth and support her daughter's vulnerable heart. "Mom, do you think it's true?" Maya asked, her voice small. Ruby took a deep breath. "No, love. What matters is who we are, not what they say." She hugged Maya tightly, reassuring her that their bond was far more important than the whispers outside. Together, they would weather the storm. The sun rose shyly over Willow Run, its soft light struggling to penetrate the clouds. Ruby stood before St. Luke's Fellowship Hall, her heart racing. Today, she would meet Juanita and the Quilting Circle, hoping to reshape the story surrounding her and Hal. The town needed to witness their kindness, not just whispers. Pushing open the heavy door, she was embraced by the aroma of coffee and baked goods. The bright hall was adorned with colorful quilts, each telling a unique tale. Laughter and chatter filled the air as women gathered around tables laden with fabric scraps. "Ruby, you made it!" Juanita exclaimed from a corner table, waving energetically. Her warm smile eased Ruby's nerves. "Of course, I wouldn't miss it," Ruby replied, forcing a smile as she approached. While slightly apprehensive, Juanita's presence always strengthened her. The quilting circle buzzed with excitement, women stitching and sharing stories about their families and lives in Willow Run. Ruby settled beside Juanita, who handed her a steaming cup of coffee. "Fuel for your creative engine," Juanita said with a wink. "Thanks. I need it," Ruby admitted, feeling warmth spread through her. "We should do something to show our community what we stand for." Juanita nodded knowingly. "People love dogs, especially Buddy. What if we created an event where kids could read to him outside the library?" Ruby's eyes brightened at the idea. "Brilliant! Kids reading to Buddy would draw attention and be heartwarming." Intrigue spread through the table. "That sounds fun," one woman said, excitement twinkling in her eyes. "Will parents come?" another asked. "Absolutely," Ruby answered enthusiastically. "It could unite everyone young and old, showing the love still present here." They brainstormed logistics and refreshments, and Ruby felt lighter with each suggestion. This gathering of hearts filled her with hope that they could alter perceptions of Hayland themselves. "Let's create flyers to hang around town," Juanita proposed, "and invite local businesses to sponsor snacks." "I can make cookies," chimed in Edna from across the table, known for her famous chocolate chip cookies. "I'll ask my husband to set up chairs," another woman eagerly added. Ideas flowed like water, laughter harmonizing with discussions on children's book themes for the event. But soon, determined silence replaced their excitement, and Ruby felt the weight of reality pressing in again. Their event wouldn't completely erase suspicions or halt gossip overnight. "I know we want this event to shine brightly," she started softly, gaining their attention. "But we should be prepared for any negative comments." Some women nodded solemnly, exchanging concerned glances, yet others offered encouragement. Unity had always wielded power, especially in tough times. "What do you think people will say?" Edna asked hesitantly. "Some may question why a single mom is working for a wealthy man," Ruby explained steadily, holding their gazes as she spoke. "They might think I'm only interested in money or status, but that couldn't be further from the truth. I'm just trying my best." "You are doing good work," Juanita said earnestly, squeezing Ruby's hand. "Let's show them how strong our community truly is." Renewed determination surged among them. they returned to practical details, planning for joyful readings outdoors during warmer weather, showcasing simple acts of compassion through Buddy's wagging tail. They settled on dates and book choices, and the conversation shifted naturally to shared stories, the air filled with warmth and smiles, reminiscent of years gone by as laughter wove through discussions. After moments of joy, Ruby remained compelled by a sense of transparency regarding the challenges surrounding her relationship with Hal. Though well-intentioned, their gathering wouldn't erase suspicion or the lingering shadow of gossip. "I know, we all want this event to shine," she began firmly, "but we must also be ready for negativity." A few women nodded, solemn in recognition, while others offered encouragement, uniting powerfully, especially in trying times. "What might people say?" Edna asked hesitantly. "Some may not understand why I'm working for a wealthy man," Ruby began, holding their gaze. "They might assume I'm interested in money, but that's not the case. I'm trying my best for us." "But you're doing good work," Juanita insisted, squeezing her hand reassuringly. "Let's demonstrate how strong our community is." With newfound determination and bright ideas packed, they shifted back to logistics, planning the outdoor readings with dogs, laughter, and acts of kindness shining through. As they agreed on details, their energy grew. Joyful stories and dreams turned vibrant, knitted together by connections loyal and true. That evening, as Ruby prepared dinner and replayed the day's conversation, she felt energized. She had touched something important: hope and community, making her dream for a brighter tomorrow feel closer. Later, reaching for her phone, Ruby texted Hal, eager to share her vision for the event. She hoped he might help, lending support to her cause and showing his commitment. "Let's work together and show the town what we can do," she typed, envisioning all the possibilities ahead: bright moments, joyful hearts, and unbroken connections as they marched forward towards that promised dawn. The sun shone brightly on the day of the Buddy Bookmobile's debut. Ruby stood in front of the Willow Run Library, her heart fluttering with excitement. She admired their colorful sign, "Buddy Bookmobile, read to a dog." It felt like a dream. Families gathered, their laughter mixing with the gentle rustle of leaves. Ruby felt a thrill when she saw children skipping eagerly to see Buddy. Maya bounced beside Ruby, clutching a stack of picture books. "Mommy, do you think everyone will love Buddy?" she asked, wide-eyed. "Of course," Ruby said, brushing Maya's hair back. "He has a special way of making everyone happy." More families arrived, bringing familiar faces, friends from church and neighbors. This time, they came together for Buddy. A little boy ran up to Ruby, eyes bright with curiosity. "Is that Buddy? The dog from your house?" "Yes, that's him," Ruby beamed, pointing to Hal with Buddy outside the library. The golden retriever wagged his tail, greeting each new arrival. Children squealed with delight as Buddy approached, moving between eager hands reaching for pats. His calm presence spread smiles across their faces as they played. Juanita emerged carrying a basket of cookies. "Got some treats for our readers," she announced, setting it down on a table under an awning. "Thanks, Juanita," Ruby called over the joyful noise. The setup was simple but inviting. Blankets on the grass, colorful bookshelves filled with storybooks, and a table with homemade dog treats for Buddy. Hal stepped forward, smiling at everyone. "Welcome to our first Buddy Bookmobile. Today is about reading and having fun," he said loudly enough to be heard over the excited chatter. Ruby watched Hal's voice resonate through the crowd, calming those who had been doubtful. "Let's get started. Who wants to read first?" Hal encouraged, crouching beside Buddy and giving him a scratch. I do!" shouted Maya, waving her hand. With pride swelling in her heart, Ruby watched Maya run to Hal and Buddy. She grabbed her favorite book about adventures in space and plopped down on a soft blanket under an oak tree. "Okay," Hal said cheerfully, scratching Buddy's head. "What's this story about?" "It's about astronauts who go to Mars," Maya exclaimed, holding up her book like treasure. Hal smiled broadly, encouraging her. As she read aloud, her excitement brought the pages to life, capturing the attention of those around her, including Buddy, who listened attentively. As Maya read about rocket ships and alien friends, more children gathered under the oak tree, wide-eyed and eager, filling the colorful blankets spread on the grass. Ruby stepped back, delighted to see Maya shine. Hal seemed comfortable among the crowd, and it filled her heart with hope, recalling their initial, uncertain meeting. Just then, Mrs. Hargrove, one of the skeptics, approached cautiously but softened into a smile upon spotting Buddy. "What a lovely idea this is," she said warmly, offering praise mingled with laughter from families enjoying the day. "Thank you. We're so excited," Ruby replied gratefully, appreciating the change in sentiment. Maya caught sight of Mrs. Hargrove smiling nearby, igniting a spark of joy in her and the other children. As time flew by, joyful exchanges filled the air, punctuated by cheers each time a child finished a story, deepening bonds among friends, both new and old. Buddy shifted closer to the eager readers, offering gentle nudges and softening any lingering anxiety. Children found comfort in their furry friend, feeling less alone. Eventually, lunchtime called reluctant parents to coax their kids away slowly, conversations flowing freely, easing tensions and melting worries. After lunch, families departed reluctantly, savoring their time spent rebuilding community connections, like tightening stitches on a quilt of memories. By late afternoon, giggles erupted frequently, turning tearful moments into laughter and filling every heart touched by stories shared, ready to move forward. As evening approached, darkness gently wrapped around Willow Run, inviting quiet and soothing lullabies as hearts rested peacefully. "Mama?" Maya broke the serene calm. "Yes, sweetheart?" Ruby replied warmly. "I loved today," Maya said shyly, a smile breaking free. "I loved it too," Ruby responded, with laughter bubbling from her heart. "Can we have more days like today, with Buddy, and books, and lots of smiles?" Tears welled in Ruby's eyes, brimming with joy. "We can have many more days just like today," she promised, embracing the abundance and joy they had shared. The day, woven tightly with laughter, warmth, and community, had transformed lives and built bonds, igniting dreams and nurturing close connections that would last a lifetime. Laughter and the sweet scent of cotton candy filled the air as Willow Run's townsfolk gathered for the annual Founders' Day picnic. Ruby stood at the entrance, brimming with excitement and nerves. This year felt particularly special. Children giggled while adults chatted under the warm summer sun. "Look, Mommy, there's Buddy," Maya exclaimed, pointing to the dog-friendly area where the golden retriever greeted kids. Ruby smiled as Maya crouched to pet Buddy. Since launching the Buddy bookmobile, life had transformed for both of them. Navigating through the crowd, Ruby spotted familiar faces: Juanita De Leon, with church members, Denise Carter laughing with other mothers. A warm sense of community enveloped them. "Are you excited for Hal's announcement?" Maya asked eagerly. "Very," Ruby answered, though nerves fluttered in her stomach. Hal Whitaker promised something special today. They had been closely collaborating on plans for the Willow Run Learning Healing Centera Place, focused on healing through education and connection. They found a spot near the stage, observing the colorful banners and tables adorned in festive hues. Willow Run felt vibrant and alive. Just before noon, the MC announced Hal's arrival. Dressed in a crisp white shirt and dark trousers, he exuded pride and approachability, a true community leader. Hal cleared his throat, and the crowd hushed. "Good afternoon, Willow Run. Thank you for gathering to celebrate our town's founding," he said warmly. His voice resonated through the park. As he spoke about their shared history, the rich stories behind each street, Ruby felt inspiration from his passion. Hal expressed not just facts, but also love for their hometown and hope for the future. "And now," Hal continued, pausing for effect, "I want to share something important with all of you." The crowd grew still. Ruby leaned forward, sensing the anticipation. "I am thrilled to announce plans for a new community project, the Willow Run Learning Healing Center," Hal declared. A wave of applause surged through the park, filling Ruby's heart with warmth. People cheered joyfully, as if celebrating an unexpected gift. Ruby joined in, reveling in the uplifting spirit. Hal explained that the center would offer tutoring for children, workshops for adults healing from loss, and support groups for sharing stories. Therapy animals like Buddy would foster love and kindness within the sessions. "I believe education should enlighten minds and heal souls," Hal said passionately. "This center will nurture our community where every person matters." Tears prickled at Ruby's eyes. Hal's sincerity was like sunshine breaking through clouds. She glanced at Maya, who was bouncing with excitement with other children. When Hal finished discussing the center's future and the support they would need, he gestured towards Ruby. "And I'd like to recognize someone whose dedication helped bring this idea to life, Miss Ruby Ellis." Heat rose in Ruby's cheeks as the crowd turned to her. The applause swelled, and she waved shyly, feeling gratitude wash over her. It was overwhelming yet wonderful. Hal smiled at her from across the stage, his warm expression making her feel seen. Their bond had deepened during the planning process, blossoming into something beautiful, involving the entire community. As the applause calmed, Hal shared more about upcoming fundraising efforts. Bake sales and fun runs organized by local families to support construction costs. With hope permeating the air, Ruby seized the moment to step away and gather herself amid the joyous atmosphere. She wandered toward the food stalls, where families savored treats like barbecue sandwiches hot off the grill and fresh fruit salads. While waiting in line, she spotted someone familiar approaching. It was Denise Carter. "Hey there," Denise called, rushing up beside Ruby with a grin, clearly energized by the bustling environment. "Hi," Ruby replied, feeling warmth ripple back. "I can't believe how great everything looks," Denise exclaimed, gesturing at the vibrant decorations overhead. "I know," Ruby agreed, nodding. The festive atmosphere transformed ordinary days into something magical, creating lasting memories. The two women continued to share enthusiastic sentiments about the picnic, stories blending into one another like the colors of the decorations fluttering in the breeze. Their laughter and joy mirrored the uplifting essence of Willow Run's spirited, enduring celebration of community and connection. The sun reluctantly rose over Willow Run, dulling the town hall. Clouds mirrored the community's mood, marked by wild whispers since Founders' Day. Everyone was eager to hear Carl Benson's plans for the council meeting. Ruby stood before her bathroom mirror, applying lipstick with a breath of determination mixed with anxiety. Today's meeting could change everything for her, Hal, and the Learning Healing Center. With Maya at school and Buddy relaxing on the porch, Ruby felt a heavy weight. Arriving early, Ruby inhaled familiar scents of coffee and baked goods. A few townsfolk gathered, whispering. She noticed Juanita arranging cookies at a nearby table. "Hey there," Juanita said, smiling. "Ready for this?" "I'm trying," Ruby replied, nervously glancing around. "I hope it goes well." "You've done great things with the bookmobile," Juanita reassured her, "and Hal always puts others first." Carl Benson strode in with authority, silencing the chatter. He adjusted his glasses and surveyed the crowd with a self-satisfied smirk. "Thank you for coming," he announced, his voice booming. "We have important matters regarding our community's future." Unease rippled through the room. "Before we begin," Carl added, "I want to address something circulating around town." He retrieved a worn envelope from his briefcase and dramatically displayed an old photograph of Hal Whitaker with a young Denise Carter outside a clinic. Gasps filled the room. "This photo proves there was more than a friendly connection between these two," Carl declared, pointing at Hal. "This indicates a long-term affair. We can't let someone with such questionable morals run our community." Murmurs erupted as Ruby's stomach twisted. She glanced at Denise, pale and shocked. Carl seized the moment. "We can't allow Mr. Whitaker to lead our community. Think of our children and schools." "That's years ago. Hal helped me when no one else would," Denise replied, her voice trembling but defiant. "Is that what you call it?" Carl shot back, narrowing his eyes. "You expect us to believe it was just friendship?" Ruby was pained by Denise's distress. "Denise is telling the truth!" she shouted, her voice cracking with conviction. Carl turned, irritated. "And who are you? Another gold digger after Hal's wealth? he challenged, folding his arms defiantly. "That's unfair," Ruby retorted, struggling against her frustration. "You know nothing about us. Hal cares about this town." Supportive murmurs and skepticism rippled through the crowd. Hal, brow furrowed in concern, finally stood tall amidst the tension. "I never claimed anything special with Denise just helping someone in need," he stated firmly, demonstrating a soldier's honor despite the accusations. "What matters is our commitment to grow stronger together rather than tear each other apart," he added. A heavy silence followed his words, then questions began to swirl among the townsfolk. Carl quickly capitalized on their hesitation. "We need to act. I propose freezing all permits for Mr. Whitaker's Learning Healing Center until we clarify the paternity questions surrounding Ms. Carter." Ruby gasped, sensing devastation as it felt like lightning striking again. This could mean losing everything they had built. A round of applause followed Carl's suggestion as cheers erupted from many townsfolk, oblivious to the dangerous implications of their decision. Passionate discussions erupted within the crowd, ideas flowing wildly as they sought stable ground amidst uncertainty. Ruby felt anger rising, fueled further by the whispered accusations around them. Hal's composed voice broke through, regaining focus. "The truth matters. We must support each other instead of letting fear dictate our actions," he emphasized, rooted in honesty. The tension weighed heavily as Carl pressed on, while Ruby fought to reclaim her ground among the disarray of voices. The meeting spiraled, but amidst the chaos, the strength of their unity shone through, a reminder that truth and community could prevail against hypocrisy and fear, lighting the path toward renewal and hope. The days after the council meeting were tense, thick with unspoken worries. Ruby sensed it everywhere in Willow Run. Hopeful conversations about the Learning Healing Center turned to whispers of doubt. As she walked, many turned away, eyes filled with skepticism. At the diner, Ruby overheard the waitress tell another table, "They're saying the center is on hold. Donations have stopped coming in." Ruby's heart sank as she momentarily pushed aside her concern. Perhaps it was a temporary setback. Later, she met Hal in his library to discuss the reading program. He was frustrated as he said, "The reading program is suspended until further notice. Donations are drying up due to the rumors." Ruby clenched her fists, realizing how quickly the community had shifted from support to crumbling under pressure. "We can't let them win," she declared. Hal sighed. "I wish I could believe that, but it feels like too many are against us." That night, Ruby returned home to find Maya sitting on the floor, surrounded by crayons and drawings. "Look what I made!" Maya held up a picture of Buddy next to a giant sun. "That's beautiful," Ruby exclaimed, ruffling Maya's hair before entering the kitchen to prepare dinner. As they ate grilled cheese sandwiches, Maya's favorite Ruby's worries about Buddy and Hal lingered. Weeks turned into a monotonous cycle of canceled events as gossip about Hal's past with Denise spread, ignited by an old photograph. Some questioned Hal's sincerity, while others accused Denise of tarnishing his name again. One afternoon, as Ruby sorted books meant for the reading program, Juanita approached her anxiously. "Ruby, you need to hear this." "What is it?" Ruby asked. "It's Denise's ex. He's in town demanding hush money, threatening to expose everything unless Denise pays him off." Ruby gasped, panic flooding her. "Oh no!" Juanita lowered her voice. "Word is spreading fast. We have to tell Denise immediately," Ruby urged, recognizing the urgency of the situation. That evening, as Ruby finished work, she felt dread return, her heartbeat quickening. The familiar stormy weather matched her rising anxiety as she arrived home. After a long day, she entered her cozy home, greeted by familiar sounds that brought comfort. She curled up on the sofa, feeling drained, quietly enjoying a moment of peace. But tranquility shattered when a soft whimper pierced the silence. "Buddy?" Ruby called, leaping up and scanning the room for her beloved dog. He was nowhere to be found. Panic surged through her as she grabbed her phone, checking messages in desperation, searching for any sign of Buddy. With no news and anxiety rising, Ruby felt the weight of uncertainty pressing heavily on her chest. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a dusky glow over Willow Run. Ruby stood outside her house, a knot of worry twisting in her stomach. The evening air was cool, but her heart felt heavy with anxiety. It had been hours since Buddy had gone missing, and as the streetlights flickered on one by one, she felt a growing sense of dread. "Maya!" she called out, her voice echoing through the quiet neighborhood. "Come on! We need to keep looking!" Maya appeared from the backyard, clutching her stuffed bunny tightly. "I can't find him anywhere, Mommy." Her voice trembled with worry, and Ruby knelt down to meet her daughter's eyes. "We're gonna find him," Ruby assured her, ruffling Maya's hair. "He's a smart dog. He'll come back." But deep down, Ruby couldn't shake the gnawing fear that something might be wrong. Just then, Juanita rounded the corner with a determined stride. "I've been asking around the diner," she said breathlessly. "Everyone's keeping an eye out for Buddy. We won't stop until we find him." Ruby nodded appreciatively at Juanita. The woman was like a lighthouse in a storm, steady and unwavering, even when everything felt chaotic. "Let's split up," Juanita suggested. "I'll head toward Maple Street. Maybe he wandered over there looking for scraps." Ruby glanced at Maya, who looked up at her with wide eyes filled with worry. "Okay," she replied to Juanita, before kneeling again to talk to her daughter. "Maya and I will check by the park and along the riverbank." "Can I help?" Maya asked eagerly. "Of course you can." Ruby smiled despite the fear bubbling inside her. Together, they would make their way down familiar paths where Buddy often played fetch or explored curious scents. As they walked hand in hand toward Willow Run Park, Ruby's mind raced through possibilities. Had Buddy gotten lost? Was he scared? The thought of him alone somewhere sent pangs of anxiety through her chest. "Maya," Ruby began gently as they strolled down Main Street, "do you remember when we found Buddy? How happy he made us." Maya nodded vigorously. "He was all wet and fluffy, and he loved my chicken biscuit." "Exactly. He found us when we needed each other." Ruby continued as they approached the park entrance, lined with trees swaying in the evening breeze. "He's probably just trying to find his way back home." They entered the park where fireflies flickered in and out of view like tiny stars coming alive in the dusk. Ruby called out for Buddy again. "Buddy, come here, boy!" Each call echoed off the trees surrounding them. Maya joined in enthusiastically. "Buddy, where are you?" Her small voice rang sweetly among the chirping crickets that had started their evening song. Ruby scanned every shadowed corner of the park, the swings, where Maya often laughed with Buddy by her side, the slide where they took turns sliding down together, yet there was no sign of him. Minutes turned into an hour as they searched every nook and cranny beneath bushes and benches without any luck. Finally reaching an open area by the riverbank where families sometimes gathered for picnics, Ruby paused for a moment to catch her breath. She crouched beside Maya, who sat on a rock near the water's edge, looking forlorn. "Mommy?" Maya said softly after a long silence filled only by nature's sounds around them. "What if Buddy doesn't come back?" Ruby felt tears prickling at her eyes, but fought them back fiercely. She had to be strong for both of them. She wrapped an arm around Maya's shoulders tightly, as if to protect them both from worry crashing in like waves against rocks. "Hey now," she whispered soothingly into Maya's ear while pulling closer so they could share warmth together under twinkling stars beginning to appear overhead. "We have to believe he will come home soon. Dogs have great instincts." Just then they heard footsteps approaching. A familiar figure emerged from behind some tall grass nearby. It was Denise Carter holding Tyler's hand beside her while searching diligently too. "Hey!" Denise called out cheerfully despite being clearly tired herself after what must have been hours of searching alongside Tyler earlier today. He looked equally exhausted, yet still carried hope in his bright eyes, gleaming under fading light as well. "We're looking for Buddy too," Ruby explained quickly, as if relief washed over their hearts upon seeing another friendly face among worried parents searching throughout town that night together, collectively hoping against all odds towards finding lost pets again. Safely back home soon again, eventually reunited later soon enough, hopefully. Denise crouched beside them next to Tyler, who began speaking up loudly, asking questions excitedly. Can I help look? Maybe I can call his name louder than anyone else." "That sounds like a great idea," Ruby encouraged with an approving smile, while feeling renewed strength rising inside, seeing how eager both children were, determined, now more than ever willing lend hands, working together, united towards helping bring beloved furry friends back home safe wherever possible. They all spread out again. Tyler ran ahead, shouting confidently, "Buddy, come here, boy!" while Denise checked behind bushes nearby, calling softly too, alongside, letting little ones explore further along bank area towards riverbanks flowing softly, glimmering peacefully, reflecting moonlight, shimmering above them throughout. Gentle waves rippling onward, endlessly moving forth, endlessly ever flowing forth towards something brightening, once lost, seeking solace, now returning safely, home, reunited, once more. Eventually tonight, hopefully still remaining hopeful, holding fast, amidst uncertainty, lingering heavily across hearts, hanging delicately, balanced, unsteady, during moments turning dark, bringing fears crashing down upon cherished dreams, shifting beneath unseen shadows lurking just outside. Sightlines, looming closer, inching, ever nearer, gathering closer, each passing minute, waiting, watching, hoping, yearning, desperately, wishing, praying. Hours drifted away quickly without any sign emerging anywhere nearby. Despite collective efforts echoing throughout park fields beneath sky, painted softly, darkening slowly overhead, making it harder see faces, shining bright, illuminating joy. Lost fleeting moments fading away, gradually passing time, until finally feeling drawn towards giving into exhaustion, setting deep within aching limbs, pulling taut, growing wearier, swiftly overcoming desires, pushing forward, still nevertheless, unyielding, refusing yield against tides, washing forth, seeking fulfillment, hidden beyond reach, returning hopes, drifting far away, longing, close, connecting beyond realms, invisible, unseen, perhaps wishing dreams tangible, finding themselves settled back onto solid ground, feeling real, genuine, authentic, ready, embrace something good, while still clinging dearly tightly beneath whispered prayers, lingering, lovingly, guiding each step onward, moving forward, pressing ahead, chasing dreams, illuminating brightest pathways, emerging along future, bright, promising horizons, unfolding, gently expanding, ever forward. Finally nearing midnight, Ruby decided it was time to head home after another fruitless search full of concern, weighing heavily upon their spirits, sinking deeper into darkness surrounding their souls, leaving empty spaces where laughter echoed once happily embraced. Within shared experiences, brimming, vibrant excitement, overflowing, plentiful moments, rejoicing brightly everywhere, surrounded, filled warmth, fading rapidly underneath whisperings, growing quieter, turning silent, lingering questions, building burdens heavier than could be borne alone, navigating treacherous terrains, woven together, threading tightly, blending compassion, carrying messages, spoken deep-seated reminders, urging toward believing firmly truth, shining brightly, leading back, warm hearts, yearning, gently, guiding one another, closer together, reassuring, bringing hope alive, kindled once again, within each cherished bond, forged amidst struggles, transcending darkness, yearning towards radiant brightness, dancing, joyfully blossoming, fully blooming before closed eyes, unfurling beauty, softening edges, crafting serenity within challenges ahead, providing comfort, boundless love, ever present, nurturing souls, navigating life, beautifully flourishing within knotted eyes, wonder, abound, stretching wide, opening vast realms, filled rich possibility, finding forever connections, tracing footsteps leading home, discovering magic, lies within cherished ties, woven timeless, enduring, lovingly wrapped tightly, holding fast, embracing love, truly liberating, inviting, freeing, ultimately empowering, shaping worlds, creating ripples vast. Ruby sighed deeply, leaning against Denise, softly patting little heads, encouraging tirelessly, spurring forward, stepping onto pathways, luminous sprawling, brightly spreading, infinite connections, threading inward, swirling energies, radiant, brushing gently across skies, awakening freshness, wrapping warmth, imbued colors, painted sky, encompassing everything, revealing myriad wonders unveiled, steadily unfolding, endless splendor, shimmering vibrantly, drawing upon spirit, enlivened, blossoming uniquely anew, turning towards dawning hope, arriving freshly painted dawn, welcoming morning light, encroaching graciously, kissing, awake, visions new, rising day, tender, embracing, heralding rebirth, renewing belief, firmly entrenched. Unveiling secret joys, revealing stories written across landscapes, molded forging, everlasting bonds, interlacing courage, kindness, interwoven golden threads, revealing beautiful truths, illuminated standing steadfast, unwavering, flowing boldly. Onward. I'm really tired now, Maya admitted softly, yawning widely. Gazing up toward Mom, wrapped securely tight, still maintaining vigilance, protective stance, embracing loving shelter, surrounding uplifting energy, nestled warmly comforting, fostering resilience, renewing commitments, preserving bonds, deeply held securely, carrying forward, alongside roots, grounded, firm, secure, anchored, deeply, lovingly entwined, beneath solid earth breathing, fresh life flowing abundantly, nourishing, fertile ground, abundant, waiting, patiently, kindling, brighter days, spark imagination, lighting flames, dreaming powerful dreams, coming true, shaping futures, awaiting birthed, nurtured, lovingly, expanding outward, endlessly manifesting, flourishing wondrous miracles. Sharing life gifts, blessing, inspiring, positivity, nurtured here, present manifested, shared unfolding, wondrously crafted timeless beauty, extending across horizons, unlimited paths, exploring uncharted realms, discovering untouched spaces, fresh promise, resting gently before becoming completely free, falling, fully realized, blossoming, uniquely reshaping entire worlds, altogether weaving richly textured tapestries, colorful tales, overflowing enchantment, embodying grace, uplifted serving, magnificent roles, embraced harmoniously, journey continued, reaching fullness, woven, magnificently, capturing essence, delighted, transcending, ordinary boundaries, reconnecting transcendently, forever intertwined, intimately linking selves, passionately pursuing, meaning, embody strength, joy, dwelling, plentiful gathering, empowerment, radiantly forged, manifest, granting sacred gifts, unfolding truths. As midnight loomed ever closer, now settling solidly above, finally reaching destination point, homeward bound, embraced lightly, swaddled lovingly, nestling security, cradled cozily, binding warm, comforting shadow, covering emerging triumphantly. Sparking echoes, hope rekindled, memories resounding vividly, whispers threaded between fragrant blooms, lifting wings, soaring higher, yielding upward, propelled towards starry skies, promising brighter tomorrow's beckoning glow, emanating golden horizons, inviting forth freshness, inviting renewed possibilities, awakening purpose, infused hearts, invigorated, ready, explore, reach beyond touching life, discovering depths, deeper embracing, lasting legacies, immortalized trails taken, exploring, freely embarking journeys, lasting impressions, resonating depth, layered richly, creating paths profound, lasting eternally marking memories, journey traveled, culminating significance, ever living abundantly, celebrating presence, enduring, glowing, continuously, shining, light, luminous, beautifully, basked, fully alive, enriched, nourishing journeys, birthed flourishing connections, intertwining vastly, intricately, harmoniously woven, creating timeless truths, embedding richness, existence, capturing precious moments, fostered beautifully, ultimately reshaping entire experiences, reverberating splendor, harmonizing existence, joyous forever, elevated bask, beautiful embraces, cherishing vibrant memories, tracing foundational narratives, evolving eternally love, cultivated finely knit, close, ultimately nurturing, intertwined perpetually, spreading wings, soaring dreams, yet fulfilling those destined illuminate souls, ventured hence. Finally, settling upon couch, weary gazes surrendered swiftly, yielding unto delightful blissful sleep, cradled contentedly, unfurling dreams, caressed soft breaths, exchanged gently, flickering fingers, resting quietly enveloped, safe, surrounded, soft haven, floating dreamily guided thoughts, drifting faintly, amidst spiraling worlds, blooming unexpectedly, nurturing refreshed spirits drawn tenderly, folding sweet lullabies, whispery wishes floating serenely beyond visible horizon, uncover, sweet new beginnings, beckoning awakenings hidden. The morning sun broke through the clouds, warming willow-run streets. Ruby awoke, stretching with a flicker of hope. Maybe today would be different. Maybe they would find Buddy. Her phone buzzed Juanita. "Ruby, you won't believe it!" Juanita's excited voice came through. "What is it?" Ruby asked, sitting up. "I just got a call from the diner. Buddy has been spotted near the old mill." Ruby's heart leaped. "The old mill? Are you sure?" "Yes. He looks a little lost, but healthy. We need to go get him." "Okay, I'm on my way," Ruby exclaimed, throwing off the covers and dressing quickly. "Maya!" she called as she entered her daughter's room. Maya hugged her bunny tightly, blinking sleepily. "Get up, we're going to find Buddy." Maya's eyes brightened. "Is he really back?" "Juanita thinks so. We have to hurry," Ruby urged, helping Maya get ready. After a rushed breakfast, Ruby grabbed their jackets, and they hopped into her old sedan. As they drove to the old mill, excitement and nerves filled the car. Memories of Buddy filled Ruby's heart with warmth. Arriving at the mill, Ruby saw Juanita standing by a tree at the entrance. "There you are," Juanita exclaimed. "I've been watching for him." "Have you seen him?" Maya asked eagerly. "Not yet, but I know we'll find him soon." The three women cautiously approached the creaking wooden doors. Sunlight streamed through broken windows, casting beams on the dusty floor. "Buddy," Ruby called softly. Silence mixed with distant rustling heightened her anticipation. Venturing deeper inside, their footsteps stirred dust as they searched corners, peeking behind crates. Then, from a shadowy nook, came a familiar bark sound that melted Ruby's tension away. "Buddy!" Maya shouted, rushing toward him. The golden retriever looked relieved but vigilant, wagging his tail as he stood over something half-hidden beneath debris. Ruby scratched Buddy behind the ears as he licked her face joyfully. "Oh, I missed you. What are you doing here?" Buddy turned back to what he was guarding, a small weathered box nestled beneath a tarp near an abandoned machine. "What do you have there?" Ruby curiously squatted beside him. "It looks like some kind of box," Juanita said while brushing aside cobwebs. "What do you think is inside?" Maya knelt beside them, wide-eyed with curiosity. "It looks pretty old," Ruby thought aloud, lifting the box gently as Buddy sniffed eagerly beside her. Wiping off the grime revealed delicate carvings etched into the faded wood. "I wonder who this belongs to," Maya whispered, sensing a connection among them. With a deep breath, Ruby opened the creaking lid to find trinkets inside a treasure trove of memories. Among the items were tiny toys from children who lived nearby, photographs frozen in time, and notes written on aged paper, all intertwined in a tapestry of history. Ruby gasped when she discovered a letter penned in Denise Carter's hand. Her heart raced. "Look!" she exclaimed, and everyone leaned closer, eager to decipher the contents. "To whom it may concern," the letter began, expressing thoughts about Tyler and revealing details about his father. Each word carried heavy emotion, invoking collective memories that interwove their lives. "While I may not always make perfect decisions, I cannot deny goodness exists within Harlan Whitaker who helped me when no one else did." A profound silence settled as they absorbed the weight of her revelations, feelings of shared history creating bonds anew. As Ruby read on, hope flickered, hinting at lighter days ahead as they embraced a newfound understanding of their pasts. When she finished, the air brimmed with meaningful connections rekindled by the shared story, a legacy of love and compassion renewed. In that moment, they realized the ties that bind them extend beyond family, offering a foundation for growth and healing. Hope blossomed in their hearts. Back at Hal's estate, the air was thick with hope and tension. Ruby stood in the cozy living room, Buddy lying at her feet, his tail thumping softly against the hardwood floor. Sunlight filtered through the large windows, illuminating shelves filled with books and photographs of Hal's late wife, each image a story of laughter, love, and community service. Hal sat across from Ruby at a sturdy wooden table, rubbing his temples. He looked worn, but resolute. Denise had just arrived, her cheeks flushed from the chilly air outside, as the weight of recent events loomed over them. "I know we've been through a lot," Hal said slowly, his voice steady. "But we can't let this rumor destroy what we're trying to build." He gestured to the bright afternoon outside, showcasing their vibrant town. Denise shifted in her chair. "But how do we fix it? Everyone is talking about us like a scandalous novel." Ruby nodded. "People are quick to judge without knowing the truth. We must share our side." Pastor Glenn arrived, his warm presence filling the room. "Good afternoon, everyone," he said cheerfully as he settled beside Hal. "I hear there's been quite a stir." "An understatement," Ruby replied, with a small laugh, grateful for Glenn's comfort. Glenn's kind gaze moved between Ruby and Denise. "You all have an important decision to make about the council meeting tomorrow." Denise sighed, running a hand through her hair. "What if they don't believe us? What if they twist our words?" "Then we'll stand together," Hal said firmly. "The truth has power. We just need to frame it right." "Frame it with compassion," Pastor Glenn added gently. "That will help them see your hearts, not just your circumstances." Ruby felt her spirits lift at Glenn's words. He had always inspired kindness in Willow Run. "What if we tell them everything?" she suggested, excitement bubbling within. "About how I found Buddy and how Hal helped Denise years ago." Denise looked uncertain. "And what would that achieve?" "We can show that kindness doesn't come with strings attached," Ruby replied passionately. "It can heal old wounds and unite us instead of tearing us apart." Hal nodded thoughtfully, stroking Buddy's soft fur under the table. "I agree, but we must be cautious about details. I don't want anyone feeling attacked." Denise chewed her lip nervously but managed to meet Hal's gaze steadily. His quiet strength was reassuring. "Then let's find a way to speak from our hearts," she suggested. "I think you both have it right." Pastor Glenn smiled encouragingly, glancing around at each person. Despite their worry, newfound hope flickered in their faces. "We need to remind them that compassion can change lives." They brainstormed ideas for the presentation at the council meeting, framing their experiences around healing rather than hurt, love, instead of judgment, a way forward as one community, not divided by rumors. As evening fell at Hal's estate, shadows danced against walls adorned with memories. They settled into preparations, confident and ready. Later that night at Ruby's small home, the scent of dinner simmered on the stove, and laughter from Maya echoed against warm walls. "Mama, can I help write my speech?" Maya asked excitedly in her colorful pajamas. "Of course. What do you want it to say?" Ruby replied while stirring the sauce. Maya climbed onto a kitchen chair, and together they began jotting down their thoughts. "What if I start by saying something nice about kindness?" Maya suggested brightly. "That sounds perfect," Ruby encouraged, ready to document the ideas bursting forth. Maya thought carefully, then declared, "I think I'll say kindness is like sunshine. It helps everyone grow." "That's beautiful," Ruby exclaimed, jotting down each phrase, overflowing with spirit. "Can I add something about how kindness makes friends?" Maya pressed on eagerly, building momentum. Together, they collected phrases filled with their joint efforts, connecting their hearts, and celebrating the beauty blossoming from fragility. After scribbling key phrases together, they left behind sentiments woven into their work, reminding everyone behind smiles that joy could return alongside struggles, fostering compassionate exchanges that could reshape communities with kindness, nurturing bonds and transforming lives. The speech was taking shape beautifully, messages intertwined harmoniously, leaving lasting impressions and igniting growth amidst chaos, celebrating the power of shared influence to create a brighter future. The room was packed. The Willow Run Town Hall buzzed with the low hum of voices as townsfolk filled the seats, their expressions a mix of curiosity and skepticism. Ruby sat in the front row, her heart racing. She could feel the weight of their gazes, some warm and supportive, others cold and judgmental. Denise sat beside her, fingers fidgeting in her lap, anxiety etched on her face. Hal stood at the front with Pastor Glenn, both men projecting calm authority. Hal looked dignified, his posture straight as he scanned the room filled with familiar faces. Ruby caught a glimpse of Carl Benson across the aisle, his arms crossed tightly against his chest. He had been leading the charge against Hal's Learning Healing Center since the scandal erupted. Ruby could see that Carl's eyes were narrowed, skeptical, and ready to pounce on any hint of weakness. "Thank you all for coming," Hal began, his voice steady but warm. "I know this past month has been challenging for our community." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some nodded in agreement, while others shifted uncomfortably in their seats. "I invited you here tonight not just to address rumors, but to share a story about kindness, compassion, and truth," Hal continued. "It's a story that involves all of us." Denise took a deep breath as Hal stepped back slightly, allowing her to take center stage. The spotlight seemed brighter now. She felt all eyes upon her like heat from a campfire. "Hello, everyone," Denise said, her voice trembling slightly at first but growing stronger as she continued. "I'm Denise Carter." She paused for a moment before adding, "I stand here tonight, humbled and embarrassed." She looked out at familiar faces, some friendly but many critical, and gathered her thoughts like loose pages, blowing in the wind. "When my son Tyler said those words, 'Mommy says you're my daddy,' it wasn't what I meant at all," she explained, emotions spilling from her heart into her voice. "In an argument with my ex-husband, I said that Tyler would be better off with a good man like Mr. Whitaker." A few people exchanged glances. Ruby noticed some shaking their heads in disbelief. "It was careless of me," Denise continued passionately, raising her chin slightly to meet their gazes head-on. "And I'm deeply sorry for any hurt it caused Mr. Whitaker or anyone else." Hal watched Denise closely. He saw how hard this was for her, and admired her courage. "I want to clarify that Hal has never been anything but kind to me and my family," she added earnestly. "Years ago, when I was pregnant and scared, I didn't know where to turn. He helped me anonymously pay for prenatal care when no one else would." Gasps echoed through the hall. People exchanged shocked expressions as they absorbed this new information. "Many have assumed things about our relationship that simply aren't true," Denise went on firmly now, gaining momentum with each word she spoke. "We never had an affair or any sort of relationship beyond friendship." Carl leaned forward in his chair. He wasn't pleased by this revelation. Denise continued resolutely. "What happened between us was nothing more than an act of kindness from one person to another during a difficult time." She turned toward Hal with sincere gratitude shining in her eyes. "Hal Whitaker did not owe me anything that day. He simply chose to help." Pastor Glenn smiled softly at Denise's honesty before stepping forward once more. "We are called to be vessels of grace within our community," he began thoughtfully, his gentle tone wrapped around them like a warm blanket on a chilly night. "It's easy to let fear dictate our actions or misunderstandings cloud our judgment." The audience listened intently as Glenn spoke about compassion, the importance of forgiving each other when mistakes are made. Grace is not about ignoring wrongs, it is about seeking understanding and healing together. He gestured toward Denise and Hal, standing united before them all. "We can either let rumors divide us or choose kindness as our foundation moving forward," Pastor Glenn concluded softly, yet firmly. Ruby felt a swell of hope rising inside her chest as Pastor Glenn's words resonated through the hall like sweet music, a reminder that truth would always shine brighter than darkness. Finally, it was Maya's turn to speak, a small girl with big dreams standing proudly behind a makeshift podium set up for kids' speeches during town meetings. With Buddy curled up comfortably at Carl Benson's feet, a sight that made several attendees chuckle softly, Maya adjusted the microphone meant for someone much taller than herself before clearing her throat dramatically. "Hi, everyone," Maya exclaimed brightly, despite nerves fluttering in her stomach like butterflies preparing for flight. She smiled wide, as though illuminating even the dimmest corners of doubt lingering within those walls, filled with uncertainty just moments ago. "My name is Maya Ellis, and today I want to read something special I wrote." Her voice rang clear across every corner of the hall. Eyes turned toward this vibrant child who seemed unafraid despite what adults had struggled through recently. Together, perhaps because they did so without realizing their strength united could conquer anything. Taking a deep breath again, as if inhaling all confidence surrounding Hirsch, began reciting, "A town is kind of a family." Maya's words flowed freely from memory, like water spilling over smooth stones, a reminder of why they gathered here tonight, amidst chaos swirling around them. A town is kind of like family, where neighbors help each other out. Through thick or thin, we stand together. That's what being home is all about. A smile crept onto Ruby's face as she listened intently, the rhythm reminding everyone present why they lived here in Willow Run. The ties, binding them closer than ever before, were strong enough to withstand even turbulent storms. Brewing outside their doors, Maya pressed on passionately. We laugh together. We cry together. We cheer each other on. And when there are misunderstandings, we find ways to carry on. The crowd erupted into applause. After hearing these heartfelt lines echo throughout every heart gathered there, tonality and unspoken agreement, forming among friends old and new alike. The importance laid bare beneath layers upon layers woven tightly around each life, touched by love, shared between those who lived alongside one another day after day. "And sometimes we might mess up," Maya continued bravely, with a hint of mischief shining bright behind innocent brown eyes that twinkled under warm lights flickering overhead. "But just remember, if someone falls down, we can lift them up off the ground. So let's keep spreading kindness everywhere, because everyone deserves love and care." With every concluding line came laughter mixed joyfully amongst tears, forming quietly behind eyelids too full. Applause rang louder, still filling empty spaces, left long ago, forgotten even. Carl Benson cracked a reluctant smile, watching Buddy snuggle closer into him while resting against worn shoes caked from days spent trudging across town. Cobblestones. "Thank you," shouted Maya triumphantly, raising both arms high above head, filled victorious energy, radiating throughout, gathering, soulfully connected back into reality, restored under soft beams shining down upon them once more. As whispers danced along, walls capturing excitement felt among crowds, blending slowly into sweet sighs, turning away from past painsit, became clear unity restored, light-heartedly emerged, triumphantly, weaving strands entwined forever. Strengthening bonds woven deep-rooted among hearts, beat strongly together forevermore. In these moments, when life unfurled possibilities anew, blossoming brightly despite earlier darkness looming overhead, the essence captured beneath one tiny girl, shining boldly amid adult chaos around, stirred something deeply profound inside. Every single soul present tonight. As the council meeting progressed, tension filled the room. Ruby Ellis sat in the audience, heart racing as she held Maya's hand. They watched Hal Whitaker at the front, exuding quiet strength. Today was pivotal for Willow Run, and Ruby felt a swirl of hope and fear. Pastor Glenn stood by Hal, grounding everyone. "We are here to discuss the approval of permits for the Willow Run Learning Healing Center," he stated, his voice steady. "This center will be a safe haven for all ages." Carl Benson at the council table scowled while scanning the crowd. Ruby felt a flutter of nerves when their eyes met, recalling his fierce opposition to Hal's vision just days earlier. "Let's proceed with a vote," Mayor Jacobs announced, redirecting attention. He asked, "All those in favor?" Hands shot up, a wave of support. Ruby's heart soared. It felt like each hand raised lifted her spirit. "Opposed?" the mayor asked after counting swiftly. Silence. "Settled. The permits are approved." His triumphant voice rang through the hall. Applause erupted, cheers and laughter filling the air. Ruby squeezed Maya's hand tightly, tears of relief pricking her eyes. This was a turning point for Hal and their town. Hal turned to Ruby, a broad smile illuminating his face. "We did it," he whispered. "Yes, we really did," Ruby replied, heart swelling with hope for their community. "Now," Pastor Glenn continued, "we must acknowledge someone who took a brave step today." He turned to Carl, who fidgeted under the spotlight. Carl cleared his throat, rising slowly. "I have made mistakes," he began, nerves evident as he walked to the front. After a pause, he continued, "I misjudged Mr. Whitaker's intentions regarding our community." Murmurs swept through the crowdsome sounds of surprise, others affirming Carl's respect. "I let my fears cloud my judgment," he admitted, gazing earnestly at Hal. "Today, after seeing how much good this center can do, I realize I was wrong." Ruby held her breath as Maya watched wide-eyed. Carl, admitting fault was shocking. "I apologize to Mr. Whitaker for any pain I caused," Carl went on, his honesty firm. "And I want to volunteer at this Learning Healing Center. I'll help however I can." Gasps filled the room, quickly followed by applause growing louder, mingling with disbelief and wonder. Ruby felt overwhelmed. How could everything change so dramatically? The town transformed before her eyes. "Thank you," Hal said, his voice genuine, bridging divides through shared humility. As applause enveloped them, echoing deeper into hearts and homes beyond the hall, they celebrated not only the future ahead, but also one another community rekindled. Ruby felt joy bloom. Change radiated within their souls, igniting purpose and readying dormant passions for a new beginning, stitching lives together and forging stronger connections. As the crowd began to disperse, Ruby caught Hal's eye, locking in a connection that silently deepened. "Can you believe it?" Ruby whispered excitedly. Hal nodded, still smiling brightly. "Maya must be so proud," Ruby said, glancing at her daughter, who beamed with delight at the animated crowd sharing stories. The excitement fanned out, creating a vibrant atmosphere filled with laughter, kindness, and connections sparking like fireworks across the room, illuminating their future with shared warmth and hopes intertwined. Together, they reveled in the evening's magic, aware that this moment was a flower blooming in the garden of their community, flourishing from newfound unity and resilience. As the sun rose over Willow Run, a golden glow washed over the old mill. Once a bustling hub of activity, it had fallen into disrepair, but now it stood on the brink of transformation. With the council's approval of the Learning Healing Center, a renewed sense of hope breathed life into the town. Ruby Ellis felt that same hope swelling within her chest as she pulled on her work gloves. Over the next few weeks, volunteers from all corners of Willow Run flocked to the mill like bees to a blooming flower. It was heartwarming to see friends and neighbors come together, their spirits high, as they painted walls bright colors and set up bookshelves that would soon hold stories waiting to be told. On one sunny Saturday morning, Ruby stood outside with Juanita De Leon, who was busy sorting through stacks of paint cans. "You know," Juanita said with a grin, "this place is going to shine again. I can already see it." Ruby chuckled as she picked up a brush dipped in cheerful yellow paint. "I can't wait for Maya to see it. She'll love reading here." "Just think," Juanita continued, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "We're creating a space for kids and seniors alike here. Place where stories can connect generations." They set to work side by side, laughing and chatting as they painted the walls together. The vibrant colors began to cover years of dust and neglect, giving life back to the old mill. As they painted, more volunteers arrived, families bringing lunch for everyone, teens carrying boxes of books donated by local residents. At lunchtime, Ruby took a break and joined Hal under an oak tree just outside the building. He leaned against its sturdy trunk while he surveyed the activity around them. The smile on his face lit up his eyes. "Look at them go," he said proudly. "They're really committed," Ruby replied, her heart swelling at the sight of so many people working together. Hal nodded thoughtfully. "It's more than just painting walls, they're building community." He turned to her with warmth in his gaze. "And you've played a big part in this." "I'm just doing my bit," Ruby said modestly, brushing some paint off her cheek. "No," Hal insisted gently. "You sparked this change in our town. Your kindness brought Buddy into our lives, which brought us all here." Ruby looked down for a moment, feeling bashful under his praise, but also grateful for his acknowledgement. They had shared so many meaningful conversations since they met, their connection growing deeper each day amidst laughter and heartfelt moments. That evening, after dinner at home with Maya, who eagerly shared stories about school, the little girl was buzzing with excitement about the mill's progress. They had seen friends from school helping out during their afternoon shifts at the site. "Mommy, you won't believe it!" Maya exclaimed with wide eyes as she bounced on her toes. "The choir is going to sing there. Miss Carter said we get new uniforms." Ruby's heart leaped at the news that the choir donation had been reinstated following last week's vote at Town Hall, another sign that things were looking up for everyone involved in Hal's vision for Willow Run. "That's wonderful news," Ruby replied cheerfully while fixing Maya's hair before bed. "You'll look great in your new uniform." Maya smiled brightly and hugged Ruby tightly before slipping into bed with her favorite stuffed animal, a soft dog named Buddy, after their golden retriever friend who had led them all on this journey. Over these weeks, as more volunteers joined in transforming the old mill into something beautiful, a haven filled with laughter and learning, Ruby found herself drawn deeper into community life than ever before. Each day brought fresh faces ready to lend a hand, grandmothers sharing stories over coffee breaks while painting benches, young adults organizing book drives, children gathering around Buddy for reading sessions whenever he appeared nearby. Everywhere she looked now were signs of rebirth, flowers planted along walkways by eager hands, and banners fluttering in gentle breezes announcing upcoming events planned around their grand opening day. One evening, while Ruby locked up after another long day of painting and organizing supplies alongside other volunteers, she paused outside beneath softening skies that turned from orange to deep purple dusk as if bidding farewell to another productive day full of promise ahead. She stood silently, gazing at what once seemed like just an old shell, now brimming with potential, the walls brightened by fresh coats, giving way toward new memories, yet unmade inside those doors looming above her. Anticipation danced lightly upon every breeze caressing past. "Mommy?" Maya called out from behind her as she approached cautiously but confidently, holding on to Buddy's collar firmly attached beside him. "Yes, sweetie?" Ruby turned quickly, startled but happy, when noticing how much light danced across her daughter's face, despite dimming light surrounding them both, now growing darker outside. "Can we stay just a little longer?" Maya asked softly, while looking up expectantly into Ruby's eyes, pleadingly. Clearly enchanted by everything happening around them since arriving earlier today, alongside friends laughing joyously while painting colorful murals across large open spaces within what would soon become their cherished gathering. Spot Learning Healing Center. "Of course we can," Ruby replied cheerfully without hesitation, instantly feeling compelled by desire fueled deep inside, knowing there was no reason why they couldn't enjoy this moment together even longer tonight. As they walked hand in hand toward where people continued wrapping things up before heading home, a flurry of voices echoing, sweetly mixed, joyfully accompanied lively chatter, surrounding them all, revealing excitement, woven deeply among those present today, blending beautifully underneath starlit skies, shining bright above illuminating paths chosen anew, forging connections anew, strengthened even further through kindness, shared openly without reservation. Ruby glanced down at Buddy, wagging his tail excitedly, greeting familiar faces, all happily coming together, spreading good vibes, filling every corner alive again, making magic happen right here, amidst reclaimed space meant for gathering. Nurturing growth, encouraging healing, shared collectively among loved ones, far beyond boundaries established previously imposed upon previously held beliefs, together, transforming not only this old building itself, but themselves too, forging connections solidified amongst each other, knowing how powerful love truly could be. In these quiet moments, standing together outside, breathing in, scents from freshly painted walls, meeting summer night air, brushing softly against warm skin time, seemed irrelevant, lost forever, suspended gracefully beneath open sky, carrying whispers, echoed gently, threading back through lives, touched along this journey, undertaken, bringing smiles, reaching deeper, still, warming hearts everywhere, brightening spirits, entirely paving ways toward brighter tomorrows. Before long, though, reality caught up, reminding both girls, gently nudging them onward toward tasks left unfinished, awaiting completion next day ahead, filled still with promises waiting patiently just beyond horizons, beckoning adventure yet untold, eager desires yet unveiled, stretching forth wide, inviting every brave soul daring enough, enter upon paths laid ahead, fully embracing possibilities, unleashed soaring high, across landscapes rich beyond measure, revealed beautifully, unfolding wonders made real. Together, mother-daughter pair retreated back inside, hand in hand leading golden retriever behind, trailing faithfully, behind, weaving, effortlessly, weaving between others, still busy finishing cleanup duties, remaining lovingly, lingering throughout shared space, newly created, anticipating endless adventures, waiting patiently, embraced, warmly welcomed, wholeheartedly, awaiting discovery unfolding, joy's anticipated moments, lovingly nurtured, boundless opportunities. Flourishing, fiercely, ever forward, flowing, free, unhindered, unrestrained, blossoming, beautifully enriched, further still, discovered new horizons, unfolding deeper bonds formed amidst challenges faced daily, embraced, lovingly rewarded, endlessly inspired, generously shared blessings, returned endlessly uplifting, intertwined legacies forged strong beneath soaring hearts, beating wildly resounding hope within everyone, gathered experiencing newfound strength, weaving richer tapestries, spun tight forever, held securely bound, forever shining, brighter illuminating paths taken, carved boldly upon shores, facing tides, crashing fierce, unyielding, crashing unrelenting, steadfast, striving, boldly, moving onward, boldly onward, striving, ever, onward, ever, hopeful, uplifted, endlessly, reached out grabbing tightly onto dreams, imagined stretching forth towards heights, unmeasured, limitless, soaring, high above, reaching finally touched, divine, infinite power, born anew. The sun rose bright over Willow Run, illuminating the freshly painted Learning Healing Center. Excitement filled the air as townsfolk prepared for the ribbon-cutting ceremony, marking a new beginning for their community. Ruby Ellis stood at the entrance, taking in the vibrant scene. The mill, once abandoned, now buzzed with life, adorned with colorful balloons and tables of homemade treats from the church ladies. Her heart swelled with pride and hope. "Mommy!" Maya's cheerful voice cut through Ruby's thoughts. Her daughter, twirling in a new blue dress, rushed toward her. "Can we go inside? I want to read to Buddy." Ruby laughed softly, adjusting Maya's hair ribbon. "Of course. Let's see how many kids are waiting to read." Inside, the center buzzed with energy. Kids gathered in circles, eager to read aloud to Buddy, who wagged his tail in excitement on his mat. Seniors mingled, sharing stories and mentoring students on various subjects with donated books. Veterans sipped coffee, reminiscing about the past while enjoying each other's company. Ruby spotted Juanita De Leon animatedly recounting childhood tales of reading under the covers, drawing giggles from the kids around her. This was community, a connection across generations through kindness. Hal Whitaker approached Ruby, hands in pockets as he admired the joyful chaos. Dressed sharply, he radiated a softening demeanor that made Ruby smile. "Look at them," Hal said, nodding to Maya and Buddy, who was now upright, tail wagging as a child approached him. "They're excited," Ruby replied, feeling warmth within. It's hard to believe we're here. This was my late wife's dream, making literacy vital in our town. Sensing their conversation, Buddy trotted over to Maya, nudging her hand before lying beside her. Maya beamed and opened The Very Hungry Caterpillar. Okay, Buddy, let's read together. Children gathered, captivated as Buddy rested his head on Maya's lap, weaving magic among them. Hal chuckled. Looks like he's found an audience. Every good story needs a listener, Ruby playfully replied, leaning against the wall next to Hal. Or two, he added thoughtfully, glancing at her. Pastor Glenn stepped up to a small podium by the entrance where a blue ribbon awaited cutting. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today to celebrate the Learning Healing Center. Cheers erupted from the crowd, electric with excitement. We're not just cutting a ribbon, but reaffirming our commitment to learning and growing together, Pastor Glenn continued passionately. We'll create lasting memories here. Ruby and Hal exchanged knowing glances, recognizing the significance of this moment for everyone involved. Now, Pastor Glenn said, I'd like to invite Mr. Harlan Whitaker up here. Applause filled the room as Hal stepped forward amidst shouts from friends. Standing tall, Hal cleared his throat. Thank you for being here today. This center is about connection-building trust within our community. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd, with nods and supportive calls. Hal continued, We have an opportunity here, one for ourselves and for future generations. Cheers erupted once more, everyone realizing they were part of something special. Let us begin our journey, Hal exclaimed joyfully, motioning to Ruby. This day symbolized hope restored. A quick snip from the giant scissors cut the blue ribbon, and the welcome doors opened wide, inviting everyone inside. Cheers erupted again as kids squealed and adults beamed, old friends caught up, and new memories were made. Maya jumped up excitedly, clapping with Buddy's tail wagging, radiating pure joy that reminded everyone why they had come to unite in love and learning within these walls. Laughter and conversations echoed. Strangers turned friends through moments shared reading and enjoying snacks. Warmth enveloped everyone, fostering connections. Outside, more guests arrived, drawn to the unfolding joy and the welcoming atmosphere. As hours passed, friendships blossomed, conversations flowed, and people exchanged dreams and aspirations, nurturing a community built on unity and healing. Ruby glanced at Hal, both filled with gratitude at witnessing the beauty of their interconnected journeys. Little did they know, this was just the beginning of a profound transformation, one that would plant seeds of kindness that would flourish for generations. Sunday dinners at Hal's became a cherished tradition for Ruby and Maya. Each week, they looked forward to Hal's warm home, delicious food, and laughter. It felt like a family gathering, even as just the three of them. This Sunday, Ruby arrived at Hal's estate, with Maya bouncing in her seat. The sun shone brightly on the blooming flowers in Hal's garden. As they exited the car, Maya eagerly grabbed Buddy's leash. The golden retriever always relished these gatherings, knowing he'd get much love from both Ruby and Maya. Can we bring Buddy in? Maya asked, dashing toward the door. Of course, Ruby smiled. But let's wait for Hal first. As they waited, Ruby admired her daughter's radiant joy, swelling her heart. Since their lives intertwined with Hal's, both they and Maya had changed profoundly. The little girl blossomed with confidence daily. Hal opened the door, silver hair gleaming in sunlight. Welcome, I'm so glad you're here. He bent down to pat Buddy and stepped aside for their entrance. Hi, Mr. Whitaker, Maya exclaimed, rushing inside with Buddy. Hal chuckled, turning to Ruby. I hope you're hungry. I made your favorite chicken pot pie. Ruby's stomach rumbled. You know me too well. It smells amazing. In the kitchen, Hal set the pot pie on the table with a fresh salad and warm rolls, filling the room with savory scents that made Ruby feel at home. I can't believe you made all this, Ruby teased, setting bright yellow napkins. Hal grinned. I have my moments. It's good practice for my restaurant, he joked. Really? You should, Maya exclaimed, placing Buddy's bowl down. We can call it Buddy's Bistro. They laughed, imagining the restaurant. As they settled at the table, Ruby felt grateful. This moment was safe and happy longed for reprieve from her past. "So, how was your week?" Hal asked. "It was great. We had a successful Saturday at the bookmobile. Kids read dog stories. It warmed my heart," Ruby replied, her enthusiasm infectious. Maya beamed, adding, "Buddy was so good. He listened like a real therapy dog." Hal nodded. "Wonderful to hear. I'm proud of you both." As they discussed their week and Denise's co-parenting classes, Ruby felt their connection deepen. "Maya," Hal said after finishing his pie, "what do you want to do after dinner? Maybe a walk?" "Can we take Buddy? He loves running," Maya replied eagerly. "Absolutely," Hal agreed, clearing plates while Ruby stacked them in the sink. After dinner, they stepped outside into Hal's yard, where Maya squealed, unleashing Buddy. He joyfully bounded ahead through the grass. "Maya, come back!" Ruby called playfully as she jogged after her daughter, Hal following with a smile. They played catch until Buddy lay panting under a shade tree, with Maya giggling beside him. The sun shined down as laughter filled the air, perfecting the day. As they caught their breath, Ruby felt a stirring in her heart. Would hope that this could be her new normal. Life could hold happiness again after so many years alone. The week flew by at the Learning Healing Center, filled with people finding solace. Soon, another Sunday arrived. This time, Denise Carter reached out about joining them for dinner, a surprise that left Ruby and Hal unsure but willing to extend kindness as Denise, now working hard on co-parenting, sought reconciliation after last month's rumors. When they opened the door that evening, Denise stepped in, followed by shy Tyler, nervously clinging to her side. "Hey, Tyler, want to help me set up games outside?" Maya offered cheerfully, hoping to ease the tension, knowing the adults felt the awkwardness despite progress made. Cautiously, Tyler nodded, stepping toward her hand, reaching out in friendship, defying the judgments lingering around them. Denise watched, feeling vulnerable, yet hopeful, as connections formed silently amid unspoken barriers. Hal observed in admiration, witnessing the kids share laughter while the adults sat stiffly at the table meant for filling bellies, now transformed into a space where healing began. Warm smiles exchanged, stories flowed about family traditions from holidays past, bridging gaps and uniting their community. The evening stretched on, savoring Hal's dishes while reminiscing fondly. They experienced joy as hearts, previously burdened, began to heal. Wrapped under the night sky, emotions ran high with hope's gently resting dreams as they drifted into peaceful sleep, a cocoon, sheltering against outside storms, promising a brighter dawn. Morning arrived swifter than expected as dreams intertwined tightly, wrapping around whispers of kindness, fostering compassion, and nurturing growth in the community. The next day unveiled a new quilt, vibrant with stories woven carefully, radiating warmth and inviting healing through shared experiences, bringing people closer together. Through the quilting circle, a gathering celebrated traditions while forging friendships, encouraging creativity. Lasting legacies engaged everyone, honoring lives and igniting passions deeply cherished. A quilt displayed warmly created peaceful visits, enriching experiences and providing reminders of welcomed presence and shared knowledge. In time, vibrant communities formed, a testament to love and understanding guiding many. The quilt graced the walls, sharing its stories while nurturing resilience, reminding all why life mattered, a life lived fully, cherished deeply, for brighter tomorrows awaited just beyond life's twists. At dusk, Ruby locked the door of the Learning Healing Center after a long, happy day. The sun dipped low in the sky, painting the horizon with shades of orange and pink. Buddy trotted beside her, his tail wagging like a little flag of joy. As they walked toward her car, the soft light from the street lamps flickered on one by one, casting a warm glow across Willow Run. Ruby took a deep breath, savoring the fresh air that carried hints of blooming flowers from nearby gardens. It felt good to finally have a place that belonged to her and Maya, space dedicated to learning, healing, and community. The echoes of laughter and chatter from earlier still danced in her mind. She could almost hear Maya reading aloud to Buddy as kids gathered around, their faces lit up with excitement. "Good boy," Ruby said, patting Buddy on his golden head as he nudged against her leg. He looked up at her with those big brown eyes that seemed to understand everything she felt. As they reached her car, Ruby turned to take one last look at the center before heading home. Its doors were closed now, but she knew it would open again tomorrow, full of possibilities. "You did great today," she whispered to Buddy, as if he could understand every word. She smiled softly at the memories of families pouring in through those door skids laughing and seniors sharing stories about their own childhoods while reading to Buddy. It warmed Ruby's heart to see such connections forming right in front of her eyes. Sliding into the driver's seat, she started the engine and turned up the radio just enough for some cheerful tunes to fill the car. With Buddy nestled comfortably in the back seat, she drove through Main Street, where familiar sights greeted them. The Maple Street Diner was bustling with patrons enjoying their dinners. Kids played tag on the sidewalk while parents watched closely from their tables. Ruby waved at Juanita through the window as they passed by. She saw Juanita's warm smile and felt another surge of gratitude for friends who had become like family. Soon they arrived home, a cozy little place with chipped paint, but filled with love. As Ruby parked in front of their modest house, she felt contentment wash over her. "Time for dinner," she called back to Maya as they entered through the front door. Maya rushed down from upstairs where she'd been drawing. "What are we having?" Her bright eyes sparkled with anticipation. "Leftovers," Ruby replied playfully, as she hung up her coat. "And some surprise dessert." "Surprise dessert?" Maya's voice rose in excitement as she bounded into the kitchen where Ruby had already pulled out containers from earlier meals prepared over the weekend. "Yep, we'll have to wait until after dinner for that," Ruby teased back with a grin. After finishing their meal, Maya declaring it the best ever, even though it was just reheated spaghetti, they washed up together at the sink, splashing water playfully as they joked about who could rinse their plate faster. Once they finished cleaning up, Maya leaned against the counter, arms crossed, thoughtfully. "Mom?" "Yes," Ruby replied while wiping her hands on a towel. "I think we should make a plan for tomorrow at school." Ruby raised an eyebrow curiously. "What kind of plan?" "We need to tell everyone about how much fun we had at Buddy's bookmobile. I want my friends to come next time," Maya exclaimed enthusiastically. "That's a great idea," Ruby said brightly. "We can make colorful flyers during art time tomorrow." Maya clapped her hands excitedly. "Yes! And I'll tell them how Buddy loves story time." Ruby laughed softly and hugged Maya close before looking at her watch, suddenly realizing it was getting late, almost bedtime for an 8-year-old girl who needed her sleep after such an eventful day. "All right, time for your favorite bedtime story," Ruby announced cheerfully while ushering Maya toward her room. As they settled onto Maya's bed beneath twinkling fairy lights hanging above like stars overhead, Ruby grabbed one of their favorite books off the shelf, a tale about a brave little dog that saved its family from danger. Halfway through, reading aloud with animated voices and gestures mimicking each character's actions, there was a gentle knock on Maya's door just before it swung open slightly, revealing Hal standing there smiling softly at them both. "I hope I'm not interrupting," he said lightly, while leaning against the doorframe wearing comfortable jeans and his usual plaid shirt that suited him so well. "Oh no, come in," Maya exclaimed eagerly while sitting up straight in bed. Hal stepped inside cautiously, but warmly welcomed by Ruby's inviting smile. "I just wanted to check on you two after dinner." He chuckled softly, seeing them snuggled under blankets surrounded by stuffed animals. "It's story time," Maya declared proudly, holding up their book. Hal grinned wider, leaning down slightly towards them both, inquisitively asking playfully, "What's tonight's adventure about?" "It's about this little dog who saves its family," Maya shared excitedly, waving her hands dramatically around. Hal nodded approvingly, glancing between mother and daughter, noticing how beautifully close they were. It warmed his heart deeply. "What do you say we finish reading this chapter together?" Hal suggested, kneeling beside them on floor, gently running his fingers through Buddy's fur, who had laid down contentedly beside him, listening attentively too. With gleeful smiles exchanged between all three of them, Ruby resumed reading while Hal chimed in every now and then, making silly sounds whenever something exciting happened, causing giggles erupt throughout room like fireworks exploding. Overhead, bringing warmth flooding into hearts. Amidst those cozy walls, decorated bright colors, reflecting light perfectly shining above sparkling faces all around. Before long, however, the night started winding down quietly, ushering slumber softly upon all those present inside room, illuminated softly beneath gentle glow. Fairy lights, lingering throughout, creating atmosphere, welcoming comfort, safety. Amidst calmness, enveloping everyone together like protective embrace, holding tightly, keeping worries far away outside, waiting patiently until dawn breaks, once again filling life outside home anew. After finishing one final chapter, a blissful sigh escaped lips every single person present, reflecting sense, peace settled comfortably, deep within each heart. "I guess it's time for bed?" Hal finally said, gently brushing hair away from his face, rising slowly off floor, reluctantly knowing goodbyes must happen soon. But first, offering each hug heartfelt reassurance, wishing sweet dreams ahead before stepping back outside. Closing door behind him, quietly leaving behind traces, laughter still hanging heavily, atmosphere surrounding brightly painted walls, imbued memories made moments cherished forevermore, stored safely within corners, souls intertwined forever. Changed journey begun only recently, just starting blossom, beautifully unfolding future. Once alone again, all tucked away cozily into sheets, wrapping around snugly tight, giving protection against anything lurking beyond doorframe. Peaceful silence settled over small bedroom, allowing thoughts drift freely upward toward night sky, carrying dreams, hopes, swirling together within endless possibilities, waiting patiently ahead. Eventually, those sleepy eyes began drooping slowly, drifting further, deeper, resting, blissfully, soundly, wrapped safely, within warmth comfort surroundings till morning breaks. New adventures calling, bright sunlight bursting forth, illuminating everything alive, once more, renewing energy, coursing forward, propelling days, rushing onward. Ending scene. The following morning came quickly. Ray's sunlight peeked gently inside, waking everyone anew. Birds chirping outside, serenading rhythmically, making melody soft, soothing, beckoning, encouraging, ready, rise. Greet world, again embracing beauty awaits beyond thresholds, inviting step out bravely into unknown, awaiting surprises abound. Everywhere else, yet unexplored, waiting silently nearby, eager share stories, told whispers carried breezes, flowing onward. Gracefully dancing, vibrant new day unfolds, gradually illuminating horizons, vast untouched territories, full wonder just. Begging, explore, fully uncover, reveal magic, hidden behind facades, daily lives, lived normally, every single moment, yet unnoticed, barely acknowledged, beneath layers, busy existence fought against life challenges, seeking understanding, clarity, resolution necessary, finding solace wherever possible, without forgetting kindness, shared compassion, offered always essential pillars, built upon foundations, set firmly stone guiding paths ahead. After breakfast, filled laughter, bouncing walls surrounding comforting ambiance, brought familiar warmth, reconnecting bonds, forged stronger time, spent nurturing relationships, blossoming unexpectedly, growing increasingly intertwined. Eventually, merging, seamlessly. Lives forged through trials, triumphs, intertwining shared experiences, lending strength needed, persevere together, uplifting spirits, encouraging journey continue onward, paving way, brighter futures, planned long ago paved. Merely wishes, finally manifesting tangible reality, brought forth fulfillment, joy, once lost, wandering, never-ending road, searching blindly, navigating pathways, obscure, yet rewarding, seeking connections, genuine bonds. What would you do if you were in their place? Comment your answer below, and let's see how you'd rewrite the ending. If you thought this was just the beginning, you're right. Click through and see where the story takes you next. If you enjoyed the story of Ruby Ellis, I handpicked the next story that you will enjoy. Please don't miss this one. Click here to watch it.